What is going on, everybody? This is episode 569 of Pop Cultural Crisis. Nice. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Pie Day. Tim ordered a bunch of pie to the building.
And then ordered people to eat it.
And there's a secret plot, obviously not so secret, for him to make all of us obese. And it's kind of working. So that was nice. We also have Libby joining us today.
Hey, Mary. Hey, Brett.
Hi.
Glad to be here. Thanks, guys.
How you doing?
Good. I'm
Doing good?
I'm Libby Emmons with the Post Millennial. Glad to be on the show today.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
We got a bunch of stuff to get into today. I knew everybody would love this first topic. I don't know if they talked about this last night, about Dylan Mulvaney's brand new music video in which Dylan Mulvaney tells you what exactly it means to be a woman.
Interjecting, Corey Anderson sent $20. TikTok should burn in hell.
Can an app burn in hell?
It belongs in hell.
I don't know if an app can burn in hell.
TikTok is a wicked witch who belongs in hell.
I suppose the developer of the app could burn in hell.
I don't even know who that is, to be honest.
He spoke before Congress, right?
Really?
Yeah, like last fall or something like that.
And the guy with ByteDance, like
the
CEO
U.S.
or whatever.
The U.S. CEO or the ByteDance?
The ByteDance
CEO,
guy,
the
right?
Chinese
Well,
CEO?
probably the U.S. guy.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, it would
remember
probably be
seeing
the U.S. representative.
Yeah, I doubt the actual developer of the app has been in
Right.
So we're gonna
Congress. We should check it out.
It's funny that he mentions that because I did a poll today. I asked you guys, should TikTok be banned? Now, this isn't one of our main topics today, but we are going to discuss the TikTok ban. We're going to see what everybody has to say about that. But we are going to talk about Dylan Mulvaney's new song. Mary, what's it called?
The Days of Girlhood.
So we're gonna.
You excited?
Okay, so here's the thing. Yesterday we did two topics. We did one on Bluey and we did one on Inside Out 2, right? And Mary was like, you didn't seem all that interested in them. And I was thinking about it. I think, why is there some things that just don't resonate with me as much? And a lot of times these topics on like a Dylan Mulvaney, as a dude, I have a hard time like talking about them, because most of the time, what I said to Mary before the show, I said, this stuff is annoying to me. I can't imagine as a girl.
Oh, it's brutal.
Like.
Do you want to repeat what my response was?
I don't remember. What was it?
Well, you said, I can't imagine how it affects you because you're a woman. Yeah. And I was like, well, no, it only affects the stupid bitches who are going along with it.
There you go.
That's a good point.
She does not comply.
No.
So we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about Olivia Rodrigo, another topic that has very little to do with me. Olivia Rodrigo was shown passing out Plan B pills at her concerts.
She's just throwing them loose into the crowd.
I do like the idea of like a t-shirt.
It's like confetti.
I like the idea of a t-shirt cannon with a bunch of Plan B pills. That.
Oh, it's too dark. It's too dark.
I have seen I saw like there was like. Have you ever seen those like things that says like cursed bowling animations?
Yes.
Okay, so there's
Yes.
There's one where a guy shoots a gun at a pregnant bowling pin, and a Plan B shoots out of it, and it hits the pregnant bowling pin. It shrinks back to normal bowling pin
I'm
size.
trying to visualize how a bowling pin could be pregnant.
It's got a.
I don't see it either. Really,
it looks like it's fatter than the other one.
like
Okay.
it's personified.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about Lily Allen, who has made some comments recently that were being, I think, mistaken a little bit from people, where she said that having 2 kids ruined her career, and I think people took it as more serious than she intended it to. But it's an interesting discussion because it's a topic that a lot of women in Hollywood and these industries have to have. Are they eventually going to put their career before having a family? So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Poor Things, which I'm not going to watch because it's creepy, but there's a lot of backlash going on that Emma Stone is facing because of the themes of this movie. A lot of people aren't fond of it. They think it's PDF file-ish.
Yeah. I mean, I'll explain later.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that just in the first few minutes of the show.
We are also going to talk about the fact that there is this article where this kid basically says, my mom is an influencer and I'm trapped. I can't get away from it. She won't stop. I tell her I don't want her to do it anymore, and she just keeps doing it.
It's funny, but really sad.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Also sad that we have to see the American Society of Magical Negroes later tonight.
Yes.
We're going to review that.
Ooh, that's exciting.
It's exciting because I like cringe. I think that it's fun to watch something that's so bad it's good. It might fit into that category, but
no. There is a vast difference between cringe and so bad it's good. I love so bad it's good. So bad it's bad is, however, it's like one of the biggest gambles you take when you watch something that's really bad is like to get to the very end where it's so bad you just want to walk out. Just past there is so bad it's good. The problem is getting there is the hard part. And sometimes the best thing you can do in these situations is go in like armed with the knowledge that it could be really, really bad. The worst is when you expect it to be good and it's bad.
I think it's might actually be good.
Well, okay. Well, we're definitely going to give it a fair shake.
We'll give
I'm
it
looking.
a review.
I'm looking forward to seeing that actually.
It ends up being the best movie of the year, and everybody hates us.
You should come with us, review it with us.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you guys are ready, we will just go ahead and get right. Actually, no. Before we get started, guys, I forgot to do the normal thing. Listen, subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here already. We've passed 104,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. Share these videos with your friends so that more people can come in here during these live streams, hang out and watch them. Leave comments down below. Obviously, it's always good to see people. I told Mary I went through some of the old live episode comments recently. I just wanted to gauge where some of the discussions were going, and I enjoyed that. Like it's a lot more general. Like the topics, the comments tend to get more divisive when you post like the actual clips, right? Where it's just one video on one topic. Then people are arguing about that topic specifically, or they're insulting you for your take on it. When you look at the comments for the actual live episode, they tend to be more general and about the vibe of the show. So it helps gauge how people are feeling about how the show is going. So thank you guys so much for that. Also remember, all super chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read those super chats right then and there. And then we will do our best to get back on topic. So if you ladies are ready, we will just get started. Mary, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All set.
All set. I didn't even have to ask her. It's fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? First things first, Sydney Sweeney continues to prove herself the darling of the internet by basically saying that, look, I was just doing my job about Madam Web. Basically, everybody hates this movie. And she says, I was just hired as an actress. I was just along for the ride for whatever was going to happen. Now, the reason I think this is significant,
It's
Mary,
the vaguest thing ever.
but the reason I think this is significant is because we talked a while ago about how Rachel Zegler talked about how a woman has to be like really, really connected to the role or people give her crap, and Jacob Elordi can be like, I was just hired and I just took a job, and then people celebrated him for it.
Wait, you're saying that this is a demonstration that no such double standard exists?
That's at least in this case, the double standard doesn't exist. Maybe it has more to do with whether people like you or not so much about your gender.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney Sweeney is saying the most vague thing possible so that the fans don't get mad at her and the studio doesn't get mad at her. Learning that lesson from Dakota Johnson, who's getting a lot of shit from Sony right now for rightfully pointing out that Madam Web sucks and that she doesn't have plans to watch it. But yeah, I was wondering, how much of Sydney Sweeney's likability is in her personality versus her looks. It's a valid question, right?
That's a fair question to ask, but I mean,
and I brought up Rachel Zegler, because some people are going to be contrarian and disagree, but I think it's obvious that Rachel Zegler is attractive as well. Maybe not as much hypersexualized.
Yes.
But she's definitely attractive, and she has not gotten the leeway as some other people have for their obnoxious comments. I mean, specifically Gal Gadot, who was in these interviews with her saying all the same stuff about Snow White.
Yes.
She's just well-liked, so she got away with it.
Well, she has way more years of
She wasn't
being
the
well-liked.
star.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm the star of this movie and I hate it. That's pretty bad sounding.
Well, Gal Gadot is not the protagonist of Snow White. I'll grant that. But she is the star power of the movie, because most people hadn't heard of Rachel Zegler before that.
Right.
She's bringing the star power. We got one from 420 Funny. So bad it's good are... Wait, what is that?
Trauma
Studio movies, like Cannibal the Musical from the South Park guys.
Do you guys have any movies that you consider so bad they're good?
So bad they're good.
Like I know I have a ton of these, but they're just I'm gonna blank on them in the moment, right? Like it's not gonna come to me instantly.
There's just movies I like.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't think they're bad because I like them.
Subscribe to the idea that like you have to have guilty pleasures. Like, okay, so the other day I reposted this clip.
I don't want to be guilty about my pleasures.
Exactly. So I reposted this clip the other day of Christopher Nolan saying that like he's like, no, I like the Fast and Furious movies and I don't consider them guilty pleasures. They're good movies. I like them. They're fun. And, he's not saying that you have to feel guilty about watching them. You just like what you like, and
it's
that's
about
fine.
the metric. Like, what are your expectations?
Brett, what exactly do you think is so extraordinary about what Sydney Sweeney said here? don't
just
understand.
think it's funny because like a lot of people in the comments, and the one that I post, were saying that she's just saying like, look, I was just hired to do a movie. She's not telling the fans they're wrong. She's not telling anybody else that they have to feel a certain way. She's saying, look, what do I know? I did the role. It's fine. I like it.
And I guess she doesn't have to take responsibility for it being
I like
bad.
the aloof.
She didn't
I like the
write
aloof.
it. She didn't film it.
She didn't edit it for
She
sure.
didn't edit it.
You know?
Yeah, she couldn't have known.
So I would like to see more actors kind of like, if you don't, instead of yelling at the fans for not liking your movie, just come off as aloof. I think that's better.
Well, here's the difference.
be
When
vague
Sydney
about it.
Sweeney is starting to direct and produce her own films, which she's producing her next film, Immaculate, if people don't like it, I highly doubt they won't like it. But if they don't like it and they're giving you negative reviews, then you better actually give a real response. Not just like, I don't know, I was just in it.
I think there is a difference, like you're saying, if she's in a film and she's just hired to be in the film, that's one thing. It's like it's almost like you're doing a Hershey's ad or something. Like
gig.
you don't have
Yeah.
to have your passion behind it. But if she comes out after people don't like her next film, let's say, and she is producing it, then that's not standing behind your artwork, and that's a bad look.
Yeah.
Like stand behind the thing that you created.
That's a fine line to walk, though. There's a fine line between making something and saying you're wrong for not liking it, or saying you have a right to not like it, but I stand behind the art that I made.
Yeah, and you could also say like, I'm proud of the work I did. If you don't like it, like that's fine.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I mean that was why I wanted to draw on the Teyana Paris thing that we'll talk about tomorrow, which is like different people's approaches to how people perceive their art after the fact.
Can you remind me who directed Madam Web?
I don't.
It almost doesn't even matter
doesn't
because
matter.
it's made by a machine.
Yes.
Never mind.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Let's go ahead. And also there was the thing about Sydney Sweeney where she said did you see this? Where she says like her DMs are not a safe space. She's like, you don't want to know about the stuff that ends up in my I can't believe her DMs are open, but are there some social media platforms where you can... Instagram, do they have to be open? I think you can close them on
No.
Instagram.
I closed a bunch of my DMs at one point because I was getting... It was unpleasant.
It was not a safe
It's
space.
funnier
wasn't
if she
great.
just doesn't know how. She just leaves them open because she just
So-
doesn't know. She's like, technology's hard.
You can block it. That's what I was always thinking about these women who are like complaining about everyone coming at them in their DMs, and I'm like, you don't have to have that happen to you.
That is true.
You also don't have to check them.
You don't have to do any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's talk about the TikTok ban then, because the House passed this bill yesterday, and it now will go on to the Senate, and then eventually it will have to go for approval from the president. And then there's like a 165-day waiting period after, if it gets through both the Senate and the president signs off. There's another 165 or something day wait until the ban is official. And I saw a lot of people.
Only because it's on the condition that they either sell TikTok off to U.S. ownership,
Correct.
or they don't, and it gets banned nationally.
Correct.
That's what it is.
So how do you guys feel about this? Because I've seen this has been an interesting topic because I see this a lot of people in conservative spaces not falling on party lines here.
Mm-hmm.
At least influencers. It seems like maybe the idea is that influencers and then traditional political Republicans, the ones who are in office or the ones who work for the ones in office, are falling on opposite sides of this issue. I saw Xavier was saying that he wasn't in support of this ban. I saw Linda from Mostly Peaceful Latinas not in support of this ban. I don't support this ban, but that's just because I
Okay.
don't like the idea of the government overreach.
The people who use TikTok
Yes.
the most
Well,
are
yes.
saying don't ban TikTok. Like,
Well, but what
that
about-
kind of makes sense.
Joe Biden is super into TikTok. He's into TikTok
His
influencers.
team is into
They
TikTok.
always
His team
invite-
is using TikTok to promote him,
They
they're-
had like TikToker summits at the White
Yeah,
House.
they did.
For Ukraine and for trans.
He
and
has
for
TikTok
COVID.
The guy with the
influencers on
nails.
payroll,
Yeah, yeah.
on DNC payroll, and they're
All this
using
kind of
TikTok
stuff.
for his reelection.
They're going
campaign,
hard at
and
TikTok. Yeah.
It's hypocritical for sure, but I think that I might agree with the theory. This is a proxy battle for like Israel and Hamas. Like,
Yeah, a lot
the
of people
theory
believe
is that on TikTok, the idea is proliferating that you should be pro-Palestine, and the Gen Z is really impressionable. They kind of just fall into that camp. That's the content that they're seeing. So there are some pro-Israel people who want TikTok to be banned, essentially for the sake of keeping the kids away from the brainwashing.
And a lot of the other things that I've seen, they say, look, the Patriot Act started saying, like, we're not going to spy on Americans. Well, where did that go?
Right.
These things
they
never
definitely did
stop.
spy on Americans.
These things never stop at what they're saying.
Well, the problem
right.
is,
And if you look at the domestic terrorism acts or the acts to like squash terrorism, those are all being used against like moms, and school boards, and Catholics who like their mass Latin. You know, all of these kinds of things. The TikTok, the concept of the TikTok ban, I'm definitely of two minds about it. On the one hand, it is a backdoor to the CCP. Every Chinese company is a backdoor to the CCP. That's just how the Chinese government operates. There is no free business. I used to work with a company that had a lot of business in China, and there was like, there was bribery built into the fee structure. There was like all this wacky stuff going on, and you had to like pay off party officials in order to like get anything done. And they knew everything that you were doing, and they were sort of in control of it. On the other hand, I'm not into, you know, like you said, I'm not crazy about the government overreach. So, and the other thing too, you have Trump coming out saying that this would really just be a boon for Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Instagram.
He's like, Threads will finally succeed. Over my dead body will I fail. So he's like,
right.
I see this. Look, I also like.
I noticed Truth Social isn't making a bid on TikTok.
No, not at all. The other thing for me, and that this is not on the political side of things, but on the social side of things, is whenever these things come up, I would always be like, well, I think it's more on the job of the parents to monitor their kids' social media use, and I don't want the government being the parent, you know, for the rest of America. I would prefer that the parents take responsibility for what their kids are.
For the most part.
Yes,
like,
I'm saying, but the answer for parents sucking is more government overreach.
Right, but parents also don't know, like, to what extent is this an opening for, you know, foreign influence? And you also see that TikTok in China does not have a bunch of twerking trans people singing about being girls on it. That's not what's going on there.
Because theirs isn't called TikTok, right? It's called something else.
Yeah, but it's like, it's got like piano lessons on it or something very wholesome.
Yeah.
You know,
learning
like
science and stuff like
and
that.
the way that the algorithms work is that the children of America are being fed trash on purpose. Stupid parents are just allowing it to happen.
Yeah. Well, parents.
And I hadn't thought about the Hamas thing. That's interesting too.
Yeah,
that's definitely proliferating.
Well, did you hear like Nikki Haley said that like every 30 minutes that you scroll the For You page on TikTok, you become whatever percentage more anti-Semitic.
I physically cringed when I saw that.
That's, you know, someone told her that. I don't know.
That's a very funny metric.
I also feel like for the most part, like
you spend like 2 hours on TikTok and you're Hitler.
I want to like see the math.
Do the thing where like, no, it's like they're scrolling, and with every time their finger goes up, like a mustache goes a little bit more.
It's formulating.
But also bipartisan bills in general are extremely suspicious and should always be considered suspicious.
Oh, you should be side-eyeing that heavily. Yes. Anything that they can agree on.
Nikki Haley's scrolling and just a mustache is forming on her face.
It's literally, she knows from experience.
I don't know. I see this stuff and I just think government isn't the answer.
That's what you think all the time, Brett. That's your take for everything.
It's a good take. It's
parents
usually right.
Are teachers.
It's a lot of time accurate.
It's usually
parents
right.
are teachers for their kids. Yep. Absolutely true. But also the law is a teacher for society.
Can you explain that further?
Okay. The law contains moral precepts.
Okay.
The law is supposed to teach the people.
At its best.
At its best, yes.
What is the morality of banning TikTok then? Just because it's just brain rot for the children?
I'm not saying I'm pro the TikTok ban. That has nothing to do with it. This is just what I'm saying, like in general about the function of politics and policy making and laws.
Yeah.
Is that they're supposed to, in a sense, teach the public.
And I guess for the most part, we're kind of getting into the morality of like what it's doing to the children's brains, whereas the bill seems more focused on the influence of Chinese government, data sharing,
and they don't care
like
that the data sharing from U.S.-owned social media is also extremely invasive.
Yeah,
so
the NSA's pissed. They're like, "Look, we're the ones stealing the data here.
Yeah,
not
they're just
you."
jealous. They're jealous of the
like
CCP.
None of these people who want to ban TikTok actually want TikTok banned. They just don't want the Chinese government involved in TikTok. So we would still get TikTok.
It's not about the brainwashing.
It's really not about the brainwashing. I mean, you have people talking about that obviously, but I think we would just see a different TikTok that would be pretty much the same. They would probably keep the same algorithms in place because they're very effective and they're making a lot of money. It could potentially get worse. There would probably be more, They might open it up to more advertising.
I mean,
Well,
I
if
like
they,
that's the American
if they don't
way.
budge and they don't move it over to U.S. ownership and it does get banned, that would be a great, unintended side effect of the bill.
Right. That would be pretty interesting.
That would probably be good for society.
Yeah. Well, and you had Trump calling for a TikTok ban years ago. I remember we covered that.
It was bad at that time. Now suddenly it's good. That is always funny, right? When it was bad then, now it's suddenly a great thing.
I don't think he's saying that it's good. I think he's saying that this is not a good bill.
No,
which
I'm
he's
saying not
kind of been
him. I'm saying the
about
politicians.
everything. Yeah.
Back then saying that's a bad thing, and now they're saying they both flip-flop.
Well, he did like an executive order, I thought.
Yeah.
Banning TikTok.
Right.
There's a $20 one
And
there.
it's also, isn't TikTok banned on all government phones, government devices?
I believe that's true.
You can't get it.
And then certain states have it banned, right? Utah?
Right. Yeah, I don't know about Utah.
Yeah, that
seems
is already
kinda wacky.
true about government-owned
Yeah.
devices.
There's
Pop
a
culture
$20 from Pop
junkie
Culture Junkie.
is so bad it's good, the same as craptastic. I've never heard that word in my life.
I have. I wouldn't make them as synonymous.
I feel
would
like
use so bad it's good.
craptastic would be like 7-layered Doritos nacho dip. Like something like that.
That sounds amazing.
Right? It's craptastic, in fact. Is what it is.
The Cheez-It Crunch Wrap at Taco Bell, that's going to
Oh
be
my goodness.
craptastic.
Wow.
When I use craptastic, I would say it in a derisive tone. I wouldn't use it for so bad it's good.
I don't like any of those things. I don't like Taco Bell. I don't like Doritos.
We got one from Robert G. Smith. Libby, piano lessons are racist. Everything is about chords with all white keys
I
are called
forgot.
majorities, and chords with keys of color are called minorities.
I'm sorry. I forgot that piano lessons are racist.
That is mind-blowing. I had never thought about it like that.
I'm more shocked that you guys haven't come to blows because Libby doesn't like Taco Bell.
You don't?
No, not really.
That's okay. Honestly, I don't care.
Yeah. I don't know why. That's a big
More
deal.
for me.
Mary's a very big fan of Taco Bell. And it's funny because you mentioned the Israel-Palestine side of TikTok, but now Billie Eilish is in trouble.
Well, look, this is the result of Gen Z getting indoctrinated into being pro-Palestine when they know nothing about the issue on TikTok. Now they're mad at Billie Eilish.
Why are they mad at Billie Eilish?
Well, at the Oscars, Billie Eilish was wearing a pin on her lapel.
A bunch of people were.
Yeah, a bunch of
It
people
was
were
either
wearing this
that pin or like the Kill Babies pin.
It was the, like, I don't know what it meant, but it was a pro-Palestine.
It was like the red hand.
Pin.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So she wore this pin to virtue signal at the Oscars, and then she was spotted at a Starbucks. Starbucks happens to be on the list of boycotted corporations. If
Along
you
with
are,
McDonald's, right?
Yeah, boycotting for Palestine. I don't know if this is actually true, but Starbucks allegedly funded the IDF, perhaps in some indirect way.
They just sent a bunch of
McDonald's is involved in that
lattes
too.
over to the military.
Yeah, and everyone is really mad at Billie Eilish for going against her principles for buying a drink at Starbucks with her brother Phineas.
This is the problem with virtue signaling, right? Is you're never going to be virtuous enough to them. And I love the idea that this is some like brave citizen journalist who snapped this picture
Right.
of her. They're like, she was spotted.
Oh, and then they were trying to defend her because her fans were like, oh no, she got a drink at another place and then she just walked over to the Starbucks and she just happened to be standing outside of Starbucks with a coffee in her hand. She didn't get it from there. Like,
That's cope.
Just stop with the cope. But yeah, they said, I have nothing to say except have some shame.
Yet the other thing that's so ridiculous about this is the idea that if you have a certain view, that means you have to live the ramifications of that view in every aspect of your life.
Well,
And
that's what they believe.
you just don't have to do that.
That's
You
what they
know,
believe.
like you can still wear Nikes and be
Yeah.
opposed to, child labor.
Well, I passed a Starbucks recently. Well, I guess it wasn't
Because
that
it's almost
recent.
like it's our lives are, our culture is just not set up to get rid of everything
Oh,
from
yeah.
your life.
Like you would have to boycott literally everything. Whether you're on the left or the right. Thank you
Why I
guys.
don't prescribe to boycott.
Well, I was walking past a Starbucks back when this whole conflict like popped off and everyone was paying attention to it and when everyone was still like, putting flags in bio and stuff. And there was a sign outside the Starbucks that said, "Your dollar matters, don't support genocide." And I was like, I wasn't even thinking about buying anything at Starbucks, but now you just made me want to buy something at Starbucks.
Oh, I totally want an iced coffee right now.
Right.
Definitely.
This is the lead into let's wait on the J.K. Rowling. Let's see. This is the lead into the Scream one. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like a non sequitur, but it's not, guys. So what is going on right now is Scream 7 is moving forward. Kevin Williamson will be backed to direct this film. He is, of course, the writer of the first several Scream movies, very much the brainchild behind the franchise, along with Wes Craven. And they have brought Neve Campbell back, who of course played Sidney Prescott, the star of the film, and the reason why I believe that it is as successful as it always was. The problem is a bunch of people on the internet are now mad because for her to come back, they lost both Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera. Melissa Barrera, of course, was fired, according to them, that she was fired for her pro-Palestinian posts. And of course, Jenna Ortega, who's also pro-Palestine, got out with scheduling conflicts. And it's actually believable that they're scheduling
She's
conflicts.
like, oh, I had a
She's doing
protest.
like Wednesday.
I had a
actually
protest
famous,
scheduled that
yes.
day. But you could pass it off as like a valid excuse. But I think I have a sneaking suspicion that Jenna Ortega backed out of the movie to stay in solidarity with Melissa Barrera and also make social media proud of her. But
Everyone
it
wants
says
social media to be proud of them.
So this is what Neve Campbell had to say. She said, Sidney Prescott is coming back. It's always been such a blast and an honor to get to play Sidney in the Scream movies. She wrote, my appreciation for these films and for what they have meant to me has never waned. I'm very happy and proud to say that I've been asked in the most respectful way to bring Sidney back to the screen, and I couldn't be more thrilled. She continued, well, I've been incredibly lucky to make these movies with both the master of horror, Wes Craven, and the wonderfully talented Matt and Tyler team. I've dreamt for many years of how amazing it would be to make one of these movies with Kevin Williamson at the helm, and now it's happening. Kevin Williamson is going to direct Scream 7. This was his baby, and it's his brilliant mind that dreamt up this world. Kevin is not just an inspiration as an artist, but as a dear friend for many years. To the amazing Scream fans, I hope you're as excited as I am. I didn't even see Scream 6 because, as far as I'm concerned, without her, it's not the franchise, especially not if they're going to end it in a way that actually matters like that.
is this going to be the final Scream movie?
It doesn't even matter because in horror, saying something's the last movie couldn't be it doesn't matter. They will call everything
Halloween
the last.
Ends
Yes.
was the last.
They're making a Halloween TV show.
Oh.
Like
they are.
They announced the TV show before Halloween Ends even came out.
So
Like,
Halloween
it doesn't matter.
never ends.
It never ends. That's the
Okay.
whole point of horror, right? It can just go on forever and ever. And the thing with this timeline is there's a lot of people in the comment section that I thought was really interesting. I think this really is people that don't realize the bubble they found themselves in when they're ideologically inclined to take Hollywood this way, meaning that they're very mad that she has apparently made pro-Israel posts, or she supports Israel. That's what they call her. They call her a Zionist. And they're saying that people aren't going to support this movie because they're going to come out and boycott on behalf of Melissa Barrera, which is insane because nobody even
cares about Melissa Barrera.
No,
She's
they
a
do not.
relative nobody.
So I just want to go through some of these posts. So this is a person who supports Neve coming back and then gets dragged by people in the comments. Says, everyone acting like Scream doesn't exist without Melissa. I get y'all, it was unfair and they should bring her back, but it's Sydney's franchise. We have Gail Weathers, Kirby Reed, Mark Kincaid, and a lot of other characters to make live. And you just go through some of these
This
comments.
person said, I fear you don't get it because this is not the point at all. Melissa Barrera was fired for her vocal support of Palestine. It's the flag in your bio, if you forgot. It's a bigger issue than wanting a new Scream film. It's about not supporting a Zionist company that is actively supporting a genocide. And then the original poster said, I know, I agree with you on that. I speak about people saying without Melissa, there isn't Scream anymore. Why would you say that? She was in one Scream movie, right? Two?
Yes.
Okay.
And
That's
there
just
were
ridiculous.
six. There were six.
There are 6.
Another one said, my opinion about Scream 7, unfair to hate on Neve for coming back to her franchise, and she's coming back with the literal creator as the director. They have the right to do it. It's their story. The circumstances are a shame, but it's not their fault. But are people assuming that this is her fault? Is Neve Campbell Jewish? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know if
Or
she
she's
herself
just-
is Jewish or if she just has friends. It doesn't matter.
She's
They'll go through
posted
your
things
likes.
about Israel.
They will go. No, she likely liked a post from somebody that did, right? Like she has
Whatever.
friends. The problem is they act like the Stasi.
Oh, and they also said that this is an example of Latino erasure because Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera are both Latinas. So they said, yeah, Latina erasure is alive and well.
I noticed that they called on Neve Campbell to quit this film film in solidarity with these actresses, but nobody quit in solidarity of Nev, who didn't get the pay raise. I was actually very, we talked about this when Scream 6 was announced. I said, good for her. She walked away from doing the movie because they wouldn't pay her enough money. She says, this is my franchise. And to be fair, Scream 6 made money, but it would have made more with her.
Right, but then
It's
the
her
casting
franchise.
decisions they made in replacement of her imploded on them.
Yep. So now they
serves
likely
them
came-
right.
They came groveling back.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we lost Jenna Ortega, who's actually like a big star now, and the other lady, will you? We'll back the money.
And the
truck.
other
We'll give
lady,
you the money.
the other lady.
Melissa
Wasn't
Barrera.
Melissa Barrera also like doing pro-Palestine protests?
What does Palestine have to do with Scream?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't at all. It's
so
just
they-
the actresses are pro-Palestine.
So the actresses are pro-Palestine.
The
They
rumor-
decided not to do the movie, and so now you have to boycott
No.
the film because they decided not
No,
to do the movie.
they're saying Melissa
Melissa-
Barrera was fired for her
Melissa
posts.
was fired allegedly for
I
being
see.
pro-Palestine and posting things about it. So she got fired, and
Mm-hmm.
then Jenna Ortega likely saw this decision and quit in solidarity with
Okay.
her. So now
Well, so
it's
the-
like if you associate with this movie, you're pro-Israel,
So this is what
Even though
Spyglass
you maybe
Entertainment
just
said.
don't,
even though you maybe don't
Care.
care and want a paycheck. Yes,
right,
Yeah.
or just want to go see the stupid movie.
So this is
Right.
this is what Spyglass Entertainment, that's the company producing the movie, said. Spyglass's stance is unequivocally clear. We have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism or the incitement of hate in any form, including false references to genocide, ethnic cleansing, Holocaust distortion, or anything that flagrantly crosses the line into hate speech.
Okay.
Now I don't agree with any of that.
Nothing that Melissa Barrera posted was anywhere close
Nope.
to any of those things.
Nope.
She just was saying that she stands with Palestine and blah blah blah.
And that's the thing. Like I don't. This is why I find the whole Israel-Palestine hilarious for Hollywood, because they're
The
kind of-
melodrama on all sides is just insane.
they eat themselves alive, because for the first time they don't have the right to blame for everything, where they can coalesce around their own ideas. And let's face it, normies, for once I will say I don't count among the normies here, normies who just watch these movies and say, huh, Ghostface, kill people with knife, cool. Like, they don't know who any of these people are beyond, they would call these ones the girls from Scream 5 and 6. They know Nev Campbell. They know the character of
The
Sydney.
girls from Scream
That's what they
5
would
and
say.
6.
Like, they might know Jenna Ortega now, right? They might know her name because of Wednesday. But for the most part, the average person who's just looking for a movie to go see on a Friday night, if they see Nev Campbell in the trailer, they will say, that's the one who was in all the original movies. I remember her. I'm going to go see that. It's like they made a big deal when Jamie Lee Curtis, I almost said Jamie Lynn Curtis, when Jamie Lee Curtis came back to the Halloween franchise. A certain actor will always be synonymous with a role and make for more money if you can get them
Yeah.
back to play it.
Was Melissa Barrera actually anti-Semitic, or did she just say things like "ceasefire now"?
yeah, it was just the basic
So
lines that you've heard.
It was just. It wasn't
know.
even. I think it's total trash for a studio to fire people based on their views on foreign wars.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't. She shouldn't.
I
have been
can
fired.
see
My
I can
problem
see
is-
both sides of it, because after all, you're talent, you're representing a brand, and you're representing this franchise. And honestly, you know, the way that you conduct yourself on social media affects the performance of whatever project you're in. So it's up to their discretion. The moral outrage over it afterwards is just way too much, way too dramatic.
I guess I agree.
I think actors and actresses should just kind of shut up when it comes to these issues anyway.
And I think most people agree with that. I think the issue is, for a lot of it, is that if this was the opposite side and it was a production company, say it was Glass Spy rather than Spyglass, producing a movie, and they had backers and financiers and workers who were Palestinian, they would not give any leeway either. Both sides would be happy to fire the other. So I don't actually believe any of them would stand on their word that they believe in free speech or the right for them to say and do what they want, right?
It's not about
on
free
these issues.
speech.
No, it's not.
I should be free to say what I think and
Yeah.
only what I think, and everyone else who disagrees with me should not.
And in the end, they eat their own. So it's hard for anybody like us who would normally champion your idea that you're allowed to say and you should be free to say what you want and your political views should not be chastised. Yes, I agree. But I don't believe that any of these people would give you the same benefit of the doubt.
Right, but that doesn't. I mean,
So it just kills my ability to feel any sympathy, I guess.
yeah, no, I can see that too. But yeah, I do think just in general, I get that. Like, studios can look at their their talent, and they can say, oh, this person is coming out in favor of, you know, there's certainly things that I think you could say, like, okay, we don't want you working with us anymore. Like if someone comes out in favor of pedophilia, you'd be like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to back you. We're not going to support you. But if someone comes out and says, like, I prefer this foreign entity over some other foreign entity, like, I don't think that should really be a big concern. I don't see that.
Yeah, I think there's just this.
I mean, I had issues with that in my life where people were like, oh, we hate you now because of what you wrote down. And it's like, okay, lunatics. Like, it's a problem that we disagree, apparently. You know, we're not allowed to disagree. It's just, it's like a continuation of this cancel mentality that I think should just die. No,
yeah, you have a good point there. It's just, I tire of hearing political opinions of all kinds.
I agree with you on that as well.
Talent, basically.
Like when they get up there at their awards things and they talk about everything they believe in, and you're like, we don't.
It's just like whatever it is you're saying.
Thank your agent and go away.
I'm not listening.
Yeah.
Like, congrats or sorry that happened.
Right.
Not reading all that.
That picture, like that meme, is becoming more and more prevalent now.
Seriously.
And I agree. I'm not reading all that. Congrats or I'm sorry that happened is 110% true. I did also see this. This is such an aside. I was showing Mary this meme earlier that I think Josie reposted. It was the left can't meme where the guy's like, it's the Lisa Simpson in front of the
projector.
The projector, and it's the longest, most written out thing you've ever seen in your life.
That's real. That's real. That happened.
I thought that was but I thought that one was satire.
Yeah.
But like that is an actual thing. They write 10,000 words and expect you to find it funny.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a meme. That's a meme.
All right, let's talk J.K. Rowling. This is insane.
So an anonymous Reddit post says, J.K. Rowling should be charged with attempted murder over her transphobic tweets. Here's the argument. It's on r/change my mind, by the way. I don't think this person is interested in having their mind changed.
No, I don't think
so. But I'll
either.
Continue. Every time you misgender a trans person, you put them at risk of being a victim of suicide or murder. Just as J.K. Rowling would be charged with attempted murder if she fired a gun at a trans woman, since the projectile in question is potentially lethal, she should be charged with attempted murder for firing such language at trans women, because the language in question is potentially lethal. And we were talking about this in regards to Lady Gaga's Women's Day post with Dylan Mulvaney saying, this isn't backlash, this is hatred, and your words are violence. And I was just like, violence is violence. Words aren't violence.
Words are not violence.
But they seem very confused, and they need help understanding that.
There's nothing that makes Dylan Mulvaney look more like a man than when he is there next to Lady Gaga. Or next to actual women, and you're like, oh yeah, you're so obviously
the dichotomy
a male.
Is definitely noticeable.
Yeah.
This says, I'm by no means arguing that accidentally misgendering someone should be a crime. Oh, phew. Thank goodness. You're not going to throw me in jail. As we've all been brainwashed by heteronormative propaganda.
That's my
and it's unreasonable to expect anyone to be perfect. But J.K. Rowling has gone far beyond that, and it cannot be called accidental or ignorant in good faith. For those who would excuse her behavior because it's, quote, scientifically accurate, please remember that all modern bigotry has claimed to have the backing of science, from Jim Crow to Nazism. Transphobia is not special in this regard.
What is the science behind Jim Crow?
I don't know.
I guess race science.
Okay.
Or,
but I don't think it really was. I think it was actually just straight up racism.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Bad people.
We weren't there, so I don't know. For those who would excuse this behavior because of free speech, do you also believe that it should be legal to yell fire when there is no fire in a crowded building and create a stampede that potentially results in death or injury? If not, how is this violence triggering speech any different from what J.K. Rowling is doing? I'm just not even going to justify any of that with a response, but yeah, the J.K. Rowling derangement syndrome is real.
It's a statement so idiotic I can't actually formulate a response. Maybe.
Like we could, but there's no reaching someone who's this far gone.
Yes.
It's really just so stupid.
And here's J.K. Rowling's response, actually. She said, Tinkerbell syndrome, the conviction that unless all women everywhere believe a man is a woman, he will die.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
I'm going to use that.
There's a $50 one here from I Am What I Am. Says, if words are violence, then get a helmet because I refuse to be muzzled. Toughen up, Buttercup.
I like that expression, toughen up, Buttercup.
It's got to make a comeback.
I mean, India Willoughby is what, like 50 years old? It's time to grow up. You don't need to be a Twitter addict. You don't need to be feuding with J.K. Rowling.
There's got to be something
Just live your life.
terrifying. Like,
Well, Willoughby must like it.
I mean, if you're so like happy and you're so certain and you're so convicted in your womanhood and your femininity, despite being trans, then why does it bother you so much that some people disagree? You know? You're overcompensating there.
Also, you can't go around just demanding everybody lie to make your feelings okay. That's not how life should be, and we should realize that. I mean, the whole thing with trans too. It's like it's really, you can sort of see the you've India Willoughby, you've all of these people. You have Andrea Long Chu recently in The Intelligencer came out and started talking about how the morality behind letting kids have sex changes. This was like a whole, and Andrea Long Chu is someone who, like in 2018, I think, wrote a whole article in the New York Times. It was an opinion column about how they were going to get a neo-vagina and it wasn't going to make them happy, but it shouldn't have to make them happy.
I remember that.
And they're going to do it anyway.
I remember that. Yeah.
So this person came out with like their whole screed about the morality behind letting children change their sex, and that, it should be open to anyone. There should be no gatekeepers. It shouldn't be about mental health concerns, anything like that. But you can see that we recently had the WPATH files came out showing that there, the entire medical rationale behind transing kids is essentially a fetishistic lie. We had that come out. We have detransitioners are suing all over the place, suing their doctors
India Willoughby
for malpractice.
says there's like one or two. That's it. Only one or two.
There
people.
are many. I mean, I've met many.
Yeah.
You know what
there's
I mean?
there's only one. There's only one, and then they transitioned anyway.
Right.
So that never happened.
Right.
You're crazy, and they're team reality.
Right. So you have all these bills being passed in states. I mean, the lie of trans is just becoming so clear, and that's why everyone is screaming. Yep. And screaming about it, because they want to cover up the fact that truth is being revealed, and they don't like it. So, toughen up, Buttercup.
If I was to take this person's argument in good faith and assume that they're not just doing so on political means, there is something unbelievably depressing and sad about the idea of living in a world where every time you leave the house, you run the risk of facing suicidal ideation because of things so far outside of your control, yet so common. Meaning as simple as words.
What that sounds like is someone who was already mentally unstable to begin with, who is weaponizing the threat of suicide against the rest of society to manipulate them. That sounds like someone with borderline personality disorder,
like
threatening to kill
Majors
themselves.
was talking about how he would, he would
Literally.
say, maybe I should just,
Literally the same thing, same dynamic, and if you entertain it, it's only going to get worse.
All right. Well, now that we've done that, would you like to see cute or cringe of the day?
Libby, you decide. Should we see cute or cringe?
I think cute.
Cute first?
All right.
You can do cute first. All right. Yeah, maybe we need it after that discussion. That's a fair point. Here we go, guys. This is from Cookie on Twitter. It says, just a happy chillin' doggy.
Love it.
Very cute.
Love it.
I like the dots, the little polka dots.
Do one more here. This one is from Privatize the Whole World. I like your name, man. This is my bestest boy, Zacian, and having sweet dreams. So is he sleeping?
He's sleeping?
That's a weird sleep.
This is what happens when you separate dogs from their moms.
Oh, that's so sad.
Is it?
Now he's not.
Okay, he stopped.
All right. Very good. Let's do one more here. This one is from John Bastille. Says, longtime watcher of the show, took some time off in Lithuania, and now I'm back in Maine and got this little guy. His name is Sherman. He is nuts, but too cute not to share.
Wait, I can't see. Oh, okay. Cute.
Oh, very cute.
So tiny.
Oh.
Beans.
All right. Mary said she's got particular cringe today, so let's go ahead and check out the cringe. Let's watch this video. It says, Elijah Schaefer posted. He says, why do polyamorous couples always look like this?
I think I like this little life.
Not this song.
I'm trying to count how many people this is. like 5, 6.
Oh dear.
They dress in matching pajamas and they go to the petting zoo together.
And the laundromat.
And the laundromat. That must be a lot of quarters.
A great deal of touching.
Yeah. Yeah. Ew.
Thanks for that.
Now,
Appreciate
why
it.
do they all look like that?
That is such a good question.
Leave your theories in the comments below.
Exactly.
What I don't understand is I saw something about polyamory on, I don't know, whatever the social was today. Maybe, I think it was actually on Threads, because I was looking at Threads. And this
So
woman
like, you
was
were the one person on Threads
I was
today.
the one, me and Taylor Lorenz
Yes.
were
Cool,
the two
cool.
people on Threads. And it was this woman was talking about how she'd been in a polyamorous marriage, and she finally came out to her mom after 10 years. And
As
it's like,
polyamorous?
as polyamorous. What I don't understand is why is this something your parents need to know about? Like if I was sleeping around with everybody and like doing whatever, and like if I was in some weird I wouldn't go tell my parents. I'd probably like just try and keep it from my parents. I wouldn't
Well, I guess it's
go be like,
to,
Mom, Dad, I'm kind of slutty with all these people.
It's
Like,
trying to make promiscuity into an identity that's
Right.
like, you need to accept me because I was born
But
a
nobody
slut.
wants to imagine. Nobody wants to imagine this about you. Like no one wants to imagine
No.
you and your husband having sex. Never mind you sleeping with everybody and a whole bunch of overweight people
Especially not your parents.
at the petting zoo.
Yeah,
no
no.
one wants that.
No.
All right, Mary, it's time to let everybody know what the hell's going on with Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah, believe it or not, that was the cringe. This is not the cringe. This is the first topic we're covering today. Dylan Mulvaney has made an official debut as a pop star with a new music video for the single Days of Girlhood. And that is named after the notorious TikTok series Days of Girlhood. Dylan Mulvaney started that series to explain all of the emotional highs and lows, the emotional roller coaster of transitioning from being a man to a woman, or I guess a girl, like a little girl,
He
like a
transitioned
young
from a grown man to a
child.
little girl in pigtails.
Yeah, like a young girl who wears pigtails and runs around in high heels and mini skirts and stuff like that. Very normal. Yeah, just so normal behavior. And Keemstar posted a clip of it. I would like to show you. We're not going to suffer through the whole song, but
Did you watch the whole thing? You watched the whole
I did
thing.
watch the
Yeah,
whole
so
thing,
did
yes. Oh, before we do that, we have a $20 from Doze Woods. A coworker is poly and a Satanist. He and his ilk look just like that. Unsurprising.
It's like the meme. It says, ugly with no special talents, non-binary.
polyamorous.
Polyamory. All right, let's watch this clip here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what it means to be
In
a
all
girl,
its glory.
according to Dylan Mulvaney.
Taught me how to girl. Best friend coached me how to text the boy toy that I'm dating next. Girls who help show me the way. They're why I'm in it, girl, today. These are the days. These are the days. These are the days of girlhood. These are the days. These are the days. These are the days of girlhood. Every night, rise and shine. They're all mine. Thick and thin, I'll be alright. Got my dolls by my side. These are the days. These are the days.
Okay.
It's just so
It's-
over for society.
Yes,
like
it's
it's so
awful.
over.
So awful.
It is so over. And so Dylan Mulvaney has taught us everything that it means to be a girl.
It's really exciting. It's
So Daily
exciting times,
Wire
Mary.
actually put out this tweet summarizing it for us. So according to Dylan Mulvaney, this is the new song. Girlhood consists of the following: not being able to get out of bed, popping prescription pills, retail therapy, doing the walk of shame, not remembering who you hook up with, overspending, flirting for drinks, listening to the Twilight soundtrack, and breaking down in the bathtub.
Before we get into the Dylan issue of it all, I do want to point out that for a very long time, pop music from regular women has pushed all of these
yeah.
exact same things.
That's a good point. That's true.
This is it's almost like it's somehow worse, but it's not
However.
like this message is very new.
I will say, I have to point out there are a few accurate ones for me retail therapy, overspending, and listening to the Twilight soundtrack. I love doing those 3 things.
What about not getting out of bed? You're the one who says you sleep all the time on the weekends.
I wake up pretty early.
Yeah.
So I think I'm good on that one. But there must have been some committee writing on this because that seems pretty accurate for me.
Yeah.
I am what I am said, why have you done this to my ear holes? No means no. Well, you didn't say no fast enough. I'm sorry. But we just got through it together and we're going to survive. I promise. I wanted to read from the lyrics a little bit because we can't listen to the whole song. This says, Monday, can't get out of bed. Tuesday morning, pick up meds.
That's
Wednesday, retail therapy. Cash or credit? I say yes. Thursday, had a walk of shame. Didn't even know his name. Weekends are for kissing friends. Friday night, I'll overspend. Saturday, we flirt for drinks, playing wingman to our twinks.
I'm sorry.
Sunday, the Twilight soundtrack cues my breakdown in the bath.
Other than the last one, you could take Dylan Mulvaney out of this and you could ask anybody, they'd say this could be a Katy Perry song any day of the week.
Well, that's of course the point.
Yeah.
The point is that it could be a Katy Perry song. The point is to fetishize femininity and turn it into a kink that you then express.
Yeah.
You know, so sure, we could hear this from name your one-hit wonder pop star, you know, but the point is that we have this man who is continuing to inhabit this space and continuing to express, like I said, it's a fetish, it's a kink for him. It's just a way to get fame is the entire point of this. We know that because his early videos, you know, when he freaked out on The Price is Right, or when he was like just, you know, cozying up to animals, doing like that weird nature safari thing that he was doing.
He's a born performer.
He just really wants to be a superstar, and he'll give up anything to do that. And it's actually really kind of sad to watch his continuance in this, you know, on this path, because he talks about on different occasions he's talked about how he can't find any romance. He's never been kissed as a girl, he said. He doesn't have, you know, romantic partners. His friendships seem shockingly shallow because
given those
they're
lyrics,
really
that's
just,
not shocking.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
me,
they're just
but,
shallow because there he is. It's like he's performing friendships on TikTok for people like that guy from who's the long-haired trans guy with the mustache and the beard, and he's like
Jeffrey Marsh.
No, he doesn't have long hair.
No,
he was like on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, that guy.
Oh, I do remember him.
Yeah.
We missed a couple of $20. I'm sorry. So Giga DB said people in poly relationships always look like that because cows like to travel in herds.
Yikes.
Dreamcast Night said new cringe for 20 to replace People's Joker.
We'll have to wait and see if this
that's a
gets
good
copyrighted.
idea.
We'll have to wait and see if this
That's
gets
a good
copyrighted
idea.
afterwards. If it's going to get copyrighted, we can't do it every time.
It's a good point that you bring up, Libby, that, you know, his life does seem incredibly empty, and that's why the lyrics would be so incredibly empty and vapid and vacuous. And I have to wonder, like, are any of these people in the music video dancing along and singing along, any of them, are they real friends? I don't think so.
Well, they're probably just girls hired to do the background dances. And and they look so much more like women than he does that it kind of just, it makes him stand out all the more. He looks like this awkward teenage boy in a wig.
Others pointed out that it seems obvious he has an eating disorder. I have no idea if that's a possibility, but it seems like someone with such deep identity issues would be prone to that type of self-destruction.
That also goes along with a lot of the gender identity stuff.
It's a comorbidity.
People have eating disorders when they do that.
Is it possible that Dylan could have actually made something meaningful if tried to go like the indie music route and tries to sound like an indie artist,
like
and
make
actually
a song,
spoke about the issues that came with their gender identity,
not
and
just
with their
that
dysmorphia?
Like make a song that's more relatable about what it's like to navigate, you know, social media feedback or something like that, you know. But this is just some kind of Taylor Swift or Barbie music video from Wish.
It's very Barbie.
It's Katy Perry. It's very Katy Perry.
Katy Perry from 12 years ago.
Yes, from 2012.
More like, like someone said if Peter Griffin wrote a song about women. Thank you guys. Another said, what bothers me the most is the implication that my days, being female, revolve around shopping, being socially irresponsible when it comes to sex, and popping pills. If you want to get into some conspiracy, it sounds like patriarchal propaganda to me.
Yeah.
And it did instantly remind me of that scene from Lady Ballers. It reminded me of Tyler Fisher in Lady Ballers, where he's doing the Dylan Mulvaney impression, and he's like, I'm washing down benzodiazepines with rosé and applying his lip gloss and everything. It's literally that caricature, but they beat Dylan Mulvaney to it, and then he just totally showed us that he's willing to be that stereotype.
He'll do whatever he has to do. I mean, he had that like freak out on Instagram, on TikTok or whatever. He was complaining that people had said his 15 minutes of fame were over, and he's like, "No, they're not. I'm doing more projects."
Well, here's the interesting thing.
Here's one of them.
On the video commemorating 730 days of girlhood, Dylan Mulvaney said that he's actually been doing a lot of consulting work for brands so that they know the right way to navigate hiring trans brand ambassadors and talent so that they don't end up pulling a Bud Light 2.0
or a Doritos.
So somehow all of this backlash, it just resulted in more profit for Dylan, more attention for Dylan.
Of course it did, because I mean, I wrote about the music video for the Post Millennial this morning, and I was like, this is the kind of thing that Dylan Mulvaney hopes will happen, is that everybody's going to freak out about the video, and then he gets like more views.
So we're giving him
more
what he
money.
wants.
Yes, basically.
Crispy Leg Transport LLC said, so he just said he was a garden tool on the weekend. Yeah, or from the sound of it, he wishes that he could be.
I guess just when I hear this stuff, it just makes me laugh, because I think that this is what pop music has been for women for the last 20 years. Think of a Kesha or a Katy Perry or the dozens of other pop stars.
No one has to listen to it.
That have come and gone, that make their lyrics this exact same thing. And you'd think I'm literally playing devil's advocate here. If Dylan wanted to make like an actual song with scope and meaning, there's like actual experience to draw from that could be made into something. I don't think it would do well, and I don't think people would actually care to listen to it because it's not going to fit with this tone of music. But it just proves that it's all so very performative, and it's more about the external symbolism of what being a woman is, at least according to what Hollywood male executives want it to be, right? Or like recording industry male executives want it to be.
I'm starting to think that a lot of this is just outrage farming from Dylan, because there was a nod to the Bud Light controversy in the song.
With the beer thing, yeah.
Yeah, so he's holding this water gun and shooting at this stack of beer cans that are painted pink, so you don't know what brand it is, but we kind of can guess what it is. And this lyric says, boys on the dance floor, it's finally clear, the patriarchy is over, you can hold our beer. Yeah,
but he doesn't say it. He has like somebody else say it.
Someone else says hold our beer thing.
The framing. It's somebody else doing the motion.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's the final word on the Bud Light controversy. But it seems like Dylan Mulvaney is just as rich and famous as ever. In this video, he's wearing Chanel earrings that he afforded from all of this consulting contract work he's doing.
And shorts, not a swimsuit. He could have gone to Target and gotten one for
I need to get in on this
tucking.
Consulting business. You know, the people who are consultants, it's such a vague job description.
It's
like, hi, I'm a
insane,
consultant.
yeah.
Like, what the hell does that even mean?
Nobody knows.
Like, you tanked a huge brand's stock prices for months, and you're going to tell brands how to avoid that happening when it was you who caused it?
Wait, so
Okay.
yeah, I there's some comments in the chat saying, so is Dana White holding the beer, or is Kid Rock holding the beer? That's a good question. Is Kid Rock in the beer?
Thank you.
All right. With that being said,
Okay, let's go into Super Chats.
Do it.
Andrew Jacob said, hi, Mary. Please do not book Pearl on PCC. Hi, Libby.
Hi.
I mean, if you feel that strongly about it, I was just considering it because I think it would be funny. I thought it would be funny to just not talk about anything that Pearl talks about.
Literally no topics about women's issues or or red pill stuff.
Just like review a random movie with her or something and chat.
What
We'll do a mukbang.
the hell kind of movies do you think Pearl watches?
I don't know if she watches movies.
Think she watches movies? I would like to
Is
know.
she a
Doesn't watch
person?
movies? Doesn't everybody watch movies?
You know, I'm sure she has some hobbies outside of content creation and tweeting, right? I'm sure.
Ooh, this guy El Greco in
Maybe
the
she
chat
has
says,
a dog or something.
get Phil to do a cover of this song. Let's go.
Oh, that would be really
Phil
funny.
can do the All That Remains
I doubt he
version
would
of-
get the
Ooh,
right.
the days of manhood.
No, the days of girlhood.
Just original lyrics.
Yeah.
Nothing changed. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Libby. The Crow trailer looks horrible. It should have stayed in development hell."
Oh, there should never be more Crow.
Yes.
That's
Did
a-
you watch the trailer?
No.
Don't. I mean,
Okay.
or do it to like. My problem with it, guys, is it's
It's
highly
cursed.
polished.
It's like Macbeth. Like,
Yes.
don't do it.
The trailer is highly polished, and it just looks like everything that comes out of modern Hollywood. It is also 3 minutes long, which is a huge red flag. The longer a trailer is, the more they show you, the less chance there is that they're actually making something good because they want to try and trick you into coming. So I do recommend skipping it. It doesn't look good to me. We'll probably review it anyways, but if you had to get my direct recommendation based off just a trailer, I would say it's not looking good.
Well, 3 minutes. They just showed you at least 2% of the movie, right?
Yeah, it seems just no good at all. Terrible.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Tim over there trying to make everyone fat."
Yeah.
With the pies.
Pies.
Don't think we don't see you, Tim. Don't think we don't know.
Let's do 2 more.
Shane H. Wilder, can we get a Society of Magical Crackers? Okay, I was just talking about this, and I was just like pitching this in my mind. We can even fund it through Nabisco's Saltine and Ritz product placements. That would be
But
incredible.
it's I mean, the whole magical Negro thing. It's an
actual trope. Yes.
Yeah. Like when I was in grad school, this was like a whole
Yeah.
issue. It's sort of all the race stuff was really bubbling up, and that's when there started to be all of these new things where it's like, it was like DEI. It was like, minorities first. It was this whole thing. But yeah, the magical Negro. Like I had friends who were infuriated by this. Black writers who were just like, I'm so sick of seeing these plays with the one black guy in it has wisdom and he's old and all of this stuff. We get to just be normal. We get to just be people. And there were all these other writers who, like a friend of mine who was a Venezuelan writer who was constantly being asked to write. She would like write plays about Latinos or whatever. And then people like producers would be like, well, can you make this more Latino? And she's like, this is literally exactly my grandma. Like, why do I have to change it to fit your stereotype of who, Latinos in the U.S. are? And that was true across the board. Like, South Asian writers, everybody was infuriated by this. So that's kind of why I think it might be funny, because like you had like the producers who were saying, give us more magical black stuff, were the most lefty, the most liberal producers. They're the ones who are like saying that. And then you have on the conservative side, we see this too in these studies where it's like, it turns out that Democrats talk down to black people and then say that conservatives are racist.
Yep.
Well, I think we're going to see if Justice Smith is capable of doing what Jordan Peele did with Get Out.
Interesting.
That's kind of the benchmark that I have for it, for a good piece of political racial satire. I highly doubt that it's going to live up to those expectations. But
I did laugh at the trailer.
In like a this is absurd way, or like
In
it's
a
actually funny way. I mean, it's hard to tell.
It's definitely absurd. It definitely seemed absurd.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it was a hearkening back to the school days.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back after the fact. Why don't you tell us what's going on with Olivia Rodrigo?
Yeah, not only is Olivia Rodrigo giving funds from her Guts tour to funding abortions, she is also now distributing free Plan B pills to all of the teenage girls at her concerts. in Missouri. This was a recent tour stop in St. Louis. And because of those restrictive abortion laws there, post Roe v. Wade getting overturned, she decided it would be a great idea to just hand out free Plan B emergency contraceptives to all of her fans. And on it has her own branding. It says, funding abortion? It's a good idea, right? And if you don't know, this is a reference to her song, Bad Idea, Right? So there you go. She's making abortion part of her brand. And I thought it was the end of it when we saw the announcement about her funding abortions with this tour. I didn't think she was going to go to the extent of actually giving the abortions to her fans. And, you know, if you think that I'm exaggerating, you can look up the proof. This is real. A fan on her subreddit said, I was there and I took some free Plan B. If you're a woman who is sexually active, it's not a bad idea to keep some on hand. Olivia is also donating a percentage of all ticket proceeds and merch items to abortion funds. And another one said, if you're a woman who isn't sexually active or capable of getting pregnant, you should save it for a friend or mail it to someone in need. So free Plan B for everyone. She's throwing around like confetti. They have a t-shirt launcher with Plan B in it. And everyone is celebrating her for it. Predictably so.
Yep. It's really, really interesting because I was reading the thread on Reddit was almost universally praising her for this, and you know that's your.
It was universally praising her for it. There was literally zero negative comment.
There was condoms as well, right?
She's also giving out condoms. Yes.
I can't. I didn't know because again I've never had to buy this for anyone, so I was like, is this something you have to be 18 to buy? It's not.
No, I think it's an over the counter.
Yes, no, it is. It's
Yeah.
over the counter, but I wasn't sure if it was something that they lock up behind a counter and that you had to be 18 to buy. It's not.
Yeah,
You can buy it at any age, so it's not breaking, I guess, any laws.
It is weird to give out baby killing drugs though at your concert.
Just a little. I mean,
it's a little bizarre.
Aborting a future generation of fans bravely. Like
Bravely,
she's like not even doesn't care. Like think about how many like parents show their music that they love to their kids. She's like, I don't care, fuck them kids. Like
Olivia Rodrigo really said F them kids.
Yes, that's what she said. She's like, I don't care. Like I'll make my money now, and I don't need future generations to listen to my music.
I mean, I knew that this girl was a psyop industry plant straight from Satan. When she went to the White House back in 2021 to urge Gen Z to get the COVID vaccine.
Oh, right.
I mean, she has been controlled from the very beginning. She used to be a Disney child star. They had her on the conveyor belt to her current mode. Ever since then, it's been years in the making, and now she is the perfect industry contrived pop star who supports all the right causes. And you know, she puts her money where her mouth is, sure, but for what cause? It's literally satanic.
Yeah, for abortion. Maybe you know what she should do a cover of the Dylan Mulvaney song. It seems like it might be right.
Well,
on
she should have been in the music video.
Yeah, for
really.
sure. But that would have just like pulled too much focus.
You're reaching a barrier here where like what people in this world see as the killing of children, they don't see it as that. They don't see them as sentient beings. The idea of memories and sentient, do you know what I'm saying, right? Like they just, it's not necessarily that they're intentionally dehumanizing the child. It's that they've been raised to not believe that it's a child to begin with. So like when you go into these comment sections and you see them kind of talking about this in a very nonchalant way, they're not going to look at it with the horror that many in this community would.
Well, and it is a human sacrifice, right? I mean, abortion is basically a human sacrifice. You're sacrificing a child in order to, you know, further whatever it is that your pleasure is in your life that you're seeking to maintain. And I thought, you know, to a certain extent, like we should be done with that by now.
When are the men
We should be done with child sacrifice.
When are the men going to start, you know, like lobbying for the abort my responsibility bill, where they just, you know, I will give up my rights to the children as long as there's no fiscal responsibility for me. That's what the guys would be doing in Hollywood, because there was a lot of men in this post that were saying like, good for her. Like there were men in this is like, I'm a guy and I think what she's doing is great. I'm like, of course you do. Of course you do.
It's interesting how those feminist causes seem to benefit men more than anyone.
It does. Like the guys, I don't know how many guys are picking up women
interesting.
at Olivia Rodrigo concerts, but assuming that that's a thing, you know, the ones who aren't looking to have to actually take responsibility, or for God's sakes, learn to pull out, are not able to are able to do this because they won't have to actually take responsibility for their own actions.
I mean, I really would have a different reaction to this if it were an artist in a different age group. Like if this were, I don't know, Christina Aguilera or Madonna or Katy Perry or someone like that. But because it's Olivia Rodrigo, she's only, I believe, 21 years old. Most of her fan base is probably teenagers or girls under 21. And this is the type of influence that she has on them, and it's being backed by giant corporations. And I remembered that back when Roe v. Wade was overturned and a lot of celebrities were kicking up a huge fuss about it, Olivia Rodrigo was one of them. And at the Glastonbury Festival, she got on stage with Lily Allen and ranted about this. And they sang the song F You together, dedicating it to the Supreme Court, who voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. Let's take a look at that, just for a refresher.
And terrified, and so many women and so many girls are going to die because of this. And I wanted to dedicate this next song to the 5 members of the Supreme Court who have showed us that at the end of the day, they truly don't give a shit about freedom. This song goes out to the justices, Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and Brett Kavanaugh. We hate you. We hate you.
Look inside your tiny mind and look a bit harder. 'Cause we're so
Yeah, so they really owned them, didn't they? It's very savage. So you saw Lily Allen was on that stage, and I wanted to bring up Lily Allen because she was recently in an interview where she talked about how having children, quote, ruined her career. She said, "I never really had a strategy when it comes to career, but yes, my children ruined my career. I love them and they complete me, but in terms of pop stardom, they totally ruined it." And she continued, "It really annoys me when people say you can have it all because, quite frankly, you can't."
That's honest. That is the lie that feminism sold her generation, especially my generation, was that the women were sold the idea that you can be a CEO and you can be a mom and you can be a wife and you can do all these things and you'll take your SSRIs and your Adderall and the 9,000 drugs you have to do all of those things. So she's not wrong. She's not lying.
I mean, despite the fact that this woman is obviously rabidly pro-choice, like she's rabidly pro-abortion, as we just saw in that video. Taking her comments at face value, I think she's just trying to be honest and tell it like it is, because her ultimate decision, as you can tell, was to prioritize being a mom over her career, and she's just frankly stating what the consequences of that choice have been. And it doesn't seem like she regrets it.
And the industry's not going to give a whole lot of play to the story about her talking about how good it was to give up her career for family and children. It's just not going to get the magazine covers. It's not going to get the articles written. They don't see any benefit to that.
If the headline were, I aborted both of my pregnancies and that's how I reached pop stardom, that would be all over.
Didn't we have an Oscar winner say that a couple years ago, basically?
Yeah, who was that?
She thanked her abortions for having won the Oscar.
Who was that did that?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, that just happened. I'm failing.
But what this reminded me of
ago.
was the Stevie Nicks interview, that notorious interview that Stevie Nicks did.
Sad. That made me sad about Stevie Nicks.
I want to read an excerpt here. Stevie Nicks was close to her mother, who pushed to get her career back after she had children. Quote, "She said to me, 'You will never stand in a room full of men and feel like you can't keep up with them, and you will never depend upon a man to support you.' She drummed that into me, and I'm so glad she did. Women's rights have been on Stevie Nicks' mind since the death of her hero, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, last month. That was when the article was
Michelle
written.
Williams, by the way.
Abortion rights, that was really my generation's fight. If Trump wins this election and puts the judge he wants in, she will absolutely outlaw it and push women into back alley abortions. Nicks terminated her pregnancy in 1979 when Fleetwood Mac were at the height, and she was dating Eagles singer Don Henley. What did it mean to be able to make that choice? Quote, if I had not had that abortion, I'm pretty sure there would have been no Fleetwood Mac. There's just no way that I could have had a child then working as hard as we worked constantly.
Well, and
there were a
cocaine.
lot of drugs.
You would have had to
I was
give
doing
up
a
the
lot of
cocaine.
drugs, and I would have had to walk away.
From the cocaine.
From the cocaine
Yes.
and the money.
Yes.
But everyone's response to that was like, you know, if you hadn't killed your child and we didn't get to have Fleetwood Mac, we would be none the wiser for it, and your life would be a whole lot more enriched for it. So really, who's the loser here?
Yeah, but if I don't get the song Dreams, really,
I think we would have been fine. I don't know. I think it would have been just fine if she hadn't written that song.
Didn't Joni Mitchell gave up her baby, right? She had an adoption.
I'm not sure. I haven't read
I
about
wonder
that.
how men's perspectives would change. I don't know the stats on this.
I'm all in for Lily Allen. I mean, she's right. Like, of course she's right. Like, taking time off from your career to have a bunch of kids. And her first record did really well. Everybody was really into it,
She was
and then
very
she
big.
kind of
Yeah.
disappeared. She could have done a second record, so I get it. Like, that's definitely something that happens. You
One of
do
the
have to
things-
put your career on hold if you decide that you want to raise your own children. She also could have decided to not raise her own children.
Yep.
So she could have done a nanny thing, and that happens as well. But I respect it. I respect her choice. And it doesn't mean that she can't come back as well.
Yeah, of course. And people have career
And you can't have it
resurgences
all.
in music.
You can't have it all. You just can't. You definitely can't have it all at once.
Couple things that I
Right.
find interesting is television specifically is pretty good when they have leading actresses finding ways to either incorporate it into the story or edit around the fact that she's getting bigger. That's going. Gillian Anderson got pregnant like every couple of years on the X-Files.
Right.
Every couple of years, big file folders and
That's
the huge
right.
jacket she would always wear would get bigger because they would have
It would
to
be
hide
like the
fact.
David Byrne jacket. Yeah.
And that was fine. And Hollywood's pretty good at it. Now the sad thing is you got to be one of the leading women for that to be. It's not going to happen for just any actress. But they give you the couple months off. But you got to go to work. But most people have to go back to work anyways. The only difference is a lot of them had made enough money where they might not have had to. The other thing is I wonder how men's perspectives on this would change. If there was because it's still the fact is that men don't have the option to abort their responsibilities of fatherhood, right?
Right.
And a lot of these men who are like, oh yeah, plan B, of course, right? Because they see it as a financial gun to
They're
their
like
head.
the tomcat that eats the kitten, so
Yeah.
the cat goes into heat faster.
But I see most of those actresses in Hollywood would probably still fall on this line, even though they were part of an industry that did fairly well to allow them to have kids. Now, that's not to say it always happened. Joss Whedon, of course, would criticize Charisma Carpenter when she got big for having kids and stuff like that. Shitty people have always existed in that industry. That's fine. But it feels like it's just one of these things where it's so baked into the culture that most of them, again, I just think that this is one of those things where they talk about how people on the right can tell you what a person on the left's motives and views are pretty accurately, and the other side cannot. And when I say that I just don't think that they process it as a human life, I'm not actually trying to denigrate them. I'm saying that it's just never been intimated to
They
them.
don't think it's true.
It's never been intimated in a way to them that's really been able to convince them otherwise.
We've got
Right.
a $20 from Steven. Look, everyone forgets that there was a Fleetwood Mac before Stevie Nicks. Is that true?
I didn't listen to Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, she joined the band.
Oh, she joined it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, they definitely wouldn't be as successful today without her. That's fair. But to what you were saying, Brett, I think the discourse is definitely changing on that front to the point where more and more self-identifying pro-choicers are willing to admit that that is a child they're just of the opinion that it is okay to end the life of the child. Yeah. And they've felt more and more comfortable to just come out and say it like it is. So, and I think that is probably due to the influence of a lot of people in media and pop culture, like Olivia Rodrigo or her predecessors. But let's go into super chats now. Corey Anderson said Rachel Zegler is a C word. Mothman's accountant said, no, it's Lent. I can't play League of Legends. It's spirit maxing, something I actually had to say to a friend last week. How'd you feel after you said that?
What the hell is spirit maxing?
I'm interested
Is that
in
like
that
looks
as well.
maxing?
I
What
don't
is
know.
spirit maxing?
I've never heard that before. Sorenko Productions sent $3.14 saying Happy Pie Day.
Ah, yes.
Happy Pie Day. Shane H. Wilder said the only one who can spy on our people is us.
Well, yeah, like I said, the NSA is pissed. They're like,
Yeah.
look, stop doing that. That's our job.
They're like a jealous girlfriend. Catholic Nick said, Brett, show Mary the 60s Batman shark scene.
We'll probably get copyrighted because I think 60s Batman is on HBO Max.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then. Dave Collins said, I remember when conservatives tried to cancel J.K. Rowling because of witchcraft or something.
Oh,
now
that
it's
was in the
woke
90s.
people trying to cancel her for defending biological women. It's insane.
Was it the 90s or was it after the 90s?
It was the late 90s.
It was like, yeah,
I
I
mean,
remember that. They were
my-
like burning books and stuff.
My parents and my friends' parents were definitely all part of that. I didn't know anyone who was allowed to watch or read Harry Potter, and I wasn't allowed to watch or read Harry Potter for that exact reason, which now, after contemplating it longer, I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, you know, I appreciate some healthy level of caution.
I wasn't allowed to watch Three's Company.
Why?
It was about what was it? It was like
Your
Jack.
parents were like, no, 3 is not company.
This is not company.
Two guys and a girl living
It was
together.
two. It
No
was one,
way.
It was one guy and two girls
it one
living
guy?
together.
Okay.
Before my time.
But they wouldn't. There was a ton of shows I wasn't allowed to watch. A ton. But I was allowed to pretty much read anything.
That could be risky too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
we
listened
found
to
that out.
Yeah.
all sorts of degenerate music and watched all sorts of stuff.
I listened to all sorts of degenerate music. Yeah.
I was explaining to Mary last week that I went back and listened to some of these old Brother Lynch Hung albums and like this horrorcore rap that I grew up listening to, which
Oh,
I
wow.
literally, you would get banned on social media just for typing it now because it's so vile. Like without context, it would be the most disgusting. But
I
most
didn't
of it was
listen to that.
written.
I didn't even know about that.
Back then, a lot of it was written from the perspective of like this is like the mind of somebody who's tripping on PCP, and there's lots of violent imagery, violent sexual stuff. Like it's very clearly art in the way that somebody with my background, who comes from a suburban family, mom and a dad at home, able to tell you that what you're listening to is disgusting. Of course, if they knew you were listening to it, right? Like it's a very different experience to listen to that as a white kid from the suburbs than it is for somebody who grew up in that, you know, living in that world. Right. But a lot of those artists are still active and they still perform that stuff. But it's so vulgar that it would never be mainstream. So it doesn't really get censored because it stays to the side of mainstream society.
My dad ejected my Beastie Boys License to Ill cassette from the cassette player of the Pontiac Firebird,
That's
rolled
just
down the
wrong.
window,
That's just
and
wrong.
chucked it out.
Beastie Boys.
Savage.
He chucked it out, yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said Dylan Mulvaney. Thanks, I hate it. Grofty said
was always
Dylan
gonna
music
happen.
video is now a torture video for guests. This isn't a bad idea.
It depends on if we get copyrighted for it. If we
Yes,
get a
we'll
copyright
see.
on that one, we'll see.
Sorenko Productions said, I think we found the new People's Joker, Brett. LOL.
Do one more.
And Sorenko Productions said Dylan has histrionic personality disorder. Well, we're gonna wait for Dylan to confirm or deny.
Well, somebody
How
who's
about
as medicalized, you'd think they'd know by now.
Yeah.
All right. You should go ahead and tell everybody what the hell's going on with Poor Things. This is going to take some explaining.
Yeah, sure. Emma Stone just won the Oscar for Best Actress for playing Bella Baxter in a movie called Poor Things. And I've mentioned this movie on the show before to explain why I find its premise and plot so utterly disturbing and disgusting. But we'll have to get into it again because Evie Magazine was just reporting Poor Things, starring Emma Stone, faces backlash for its strange and disturbing kiddie porn plot.
It is a kiddie porn plot. It's very bizarre.
I wholly agree with that evaluation, but every time that people criticize Poor Things or a number of other movies for similar reasons, the chorus in response is that you have no media literacy and you just don't understand art and you are a Philistine for not understanding why this is actually high art. But before we get into the responses, I wanted to explain the premise for those of you who thankfully didn't watch it. So this is based on a 1992 novel by Alistair Gray. And I'm going to read from the description of it. Poor Things is a postmodern revision of Frankenstein that replaces the traditional monster with Bella Baxter, a beautiful young erotomaniac brought back to life with the brain of an infant. Godwin Baxter's scientific ambition to create the perfect companion is realized when he finds the drowned body of Bella Baxter, but his dream is thwarted by Dr. Archibald McCandless's jealous love for Baxter's creation. This says Poor Things is a hilarious political allegory and a thought-provoking duel between the desires of men and the independence of women. So let's go into a little more detail. The movie plot is basically Emma Stone's character attempts to kill herself, and she happens to be
She jumps off a bridge.
She happens to be pregnant when she does this. She jumps off a bridge and she's pregnant. And this doctor, Godwin Baxter, finds her body and he saves her life, technically, by transplanting the brain of her unborn baby into her skull. So with the body of an adult and the brain of a newborn baby, she does what all newborns do. She becomes a nymphomaniac and a prostitute, of course. There are graphic sex scenes between Emma Stone, playing a baby who can barely talk or walk, and Mark Ruffalo, the commie Disney star. Someone said, I forget, can newborns consent to sex? If they're smoking hot babes, they can. The movie is marketed as a comedy. How dare you think this sounds like a thinly veiled pedo porn, you Philistine? This is high art. And that's been the response. That's been the counter argument this whole time.
Yeah, it has been. And this, I mean, in you know, in the terms of like 25 years ago, this was definitely an art house film. Mm-hmm. This is not a film that you would have seen at the Oscars. It's not a film that would have gotten written up all over the place. It would have been like, you know, at one of the little downtown movie houses, you know, at the Angelica or something downtown.
Makes these types of movies far more
it makes them
available.
Well, the amount of star power and the amount of budget and the amount of marketing that has been dedicated to this is what's specifically alarming.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, like movies that are made in this kind of area or this kind of genre have been made before, but not as critically celebrated.
No, it's not a film that I think should be achieving those upper echelons. But it also kind of lays bare the foundational ideas of what's going on in Hollywood. They really love this film. You know, they at the Oscars, they were like celebrating Emma Stone. They were talking about how great it is. They talk about how it's about like women's freedom. And what it really is about a woman being entirely entrapped in in this man's world, in this man's fantasy. And that it's sort of gross. You know what I mean? It's just sort of a really gross concept. And the idea that like you could take that the epitome of womanhood, according to Hollywood, is to take a toddler's brain and put it in the body of, yes, a hot girl, and then film her having sex with people. This is the epitome of Hollywood. So it's sort of like you can be mad about it, but it's also everything that we've been saying this whole time. This is a corrupt industry with absolutely no moral value, with absolutely no real artistic value. Aesthetically, right? Like the costumes are interesting and bizarre. The colors are interesting. It's intriguing to look at. And that's really what will draw people in, is like all of the artistry surrounding it. But the concept is absolutely profane and disgusting, and so is the entire Hollywood machine. If you contrast something like this to Cabrini, which is the latest film from Angel Studios, which is also extremely artistically done. It's very aesthetically pleasing. The colors are gorgeous. The set is gorgeous. And you find yourself drawn into a story about, instead, a very powerful, a very strong woman who is in America. She has to learn English. She doesn't know it. So to a certain extent, she also is entering a world where she is unfamiliar and has to learn things. And she becomes, she's there to help people, and she achieves really great things. It's sort of it's a wild contrast to me to see these two things, and the one being celebrated for, essentially creating a pleasure-seeking hot girl with absolutely no moral compunction or sense of self other than pleasure. Mm-hmm. And then you have, Cabrini, which is about this woman who is very high-minded and disciplined and works really hard and saves hundreds and hundreds of people.
Right. Yeah. And you know what Hollywood is going to promote and what they're going to praise and actually literally give award to.
An award to this. Yeah.
Making a movie like that is a lot harder today unless you have the help of somebody like a Mark Wahlberg who made Father Stu. Mm-hmm. You have to have his type of name and his type of financing behind it to be able to get that to theaters. And even that got released, on Good Friday, and wasn't really as wide of a release as a lot of other movies, right? It's not going to get the same treatment. So without the name, the names backing it.
Well, but I think that we do see an artistic movement kind of building that is rejecting these postmodernist ideas, rejecting this classification of human beings, and we're seeing it come out. I'm kind of excited about it. To see more of this, and we don't have to watch Poor Things.
We got a $20 from IC All. Hello, Marion Breet. Hello, guest whose name I can't recall right now. Here's a sweet 20 for the extremely hard work that you guys do. Don't spend it all in one place.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it is so difficult being us. This job, I tell you, it's just sometimes I wonder how the hell I do it.
It almost brings me to tears.
Oh my goodness.
I wanted to read some of the takes about Poor Things and show how stupid they are. They didn't understand Poor Things. Seriously insane that one of the most risky and actually nuanced feminism in a modern mainstream movie is talked down upon in favor of commercialized basic stuff like Barbie. How about neither?
I was just saying, maybe there's maybe Libby's right. Maybe Cabrini is supposed to be that middle ground there, but it's just not going to reach a wide audience.
I saw it on a movie, where they put up the names of the movies, downtown in some little towns in Massachusetts. I was
it's getting a
check
pretty
it out.
wide
There it
release
is.
for something with a small studio. But, how about, discard Barbie, the commercialized feminism, and we're also going to discard your art house nuance feminism that is essentially just pedophilia. How about neither? Mm-hmm. I don't have to accept either of these products because that's what they are. They're products.
And both of those products are actually just about the female sexualized body.
Well, how do you make that argument for Barbie? I didn't feel like anything was over-sexualized about that movie.
The end of the movie, she goes to a gynecologist, and that's her power moment.
That was a really bizarre detail that they added because it felt totally out of congruence with the rest of the movie and just kind of randomly thrown in there. And I was like, what, is she getting an abortion?
No, she's real now. So it's all about the vagina because she's real now.
But then at the same time, they're trying to tell us that whether or not you have a vagina has nothing to do with whether you're a woman. Right. So it's very confusing.
Yeah, they don't know either.
There's a $20 one there.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. said this is from the same director of The Lobster, a movie where well-off people go to a spa and die and become their favorite animal. High art.
I mean, that could be made into a sweet, stoner comedy. If you
what would you want to become?
That's weird. Wesley just asked me what animal would I be this morning. I just said a cat, but that doesn't count as an animal you would eat.
Wait, they would become the favorite animal that somebody would eat?
Well, is that the premise of the movie, right?
Like you would die and become something that gets eaten?
Oh no, they go to a spa. It's not a restaurant.
Oh,
Okay. They go to a spa to die, and then they become their favorite animal. Yeah, I would be a cat.
So it was Jordan Peterson that became the lobster?
that would be iconic. I want to see that, actually. Another one said, I kind of thought the point of the film was to lean into an ambiguously feminist narrative that may or may not be anti-feminist to make people debate whether it's sincere or trolling and crowdsource viral marketing. Its evasiveness, I guess, is the entire point. Is it feminist? Is it not? The debate of whether it means anything at all.
Does that really sell to anyone? Like, men don't care about this debate.
I don't think it's feminist at all.
Men don't care about this debate.
I mean, it's new feminist, but it's not actually.
Is that even an effective way to get
women.
people to watch your movie?
No,
Is just
look,
Because it's
confusing
feminist?
them?
That seems boring. The movie seems boring as well.
Men don't care about feminism, and women, for the most part, I don't know if they care about this type of feminism as far as their, escapist, whatever money you have to spend on entertainment this week. I don't know if this is really something that a bunch of women want to watch, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I really only want to watch space movies and stoner comedies.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see this. And I think that any universe in which you put a movie or character needs to have governing principles, and every story needs to have some kind of operating thesis underneath it, or else what is the point of the story?
Would you enjoy an interview, like a chance to interview the director and ask and really like plumb his mind, like grill him about his thought process while making this movie, the director and the writer?
The director's name is Yorgos Lanthimos. Fairly confident that someone who would involve themselves in a project like this, or the person who especially wrote the original story, fairly confident that they are a sexual deviant whose aim is to sexualize children. And I'm not curious about that. There's just an empty vacuum of thought there. It's just somebody who's completely controlled by their base passions and by debauchery and deviancy. So what is there really to understand?
I don't know. I just thought maybe it'd be something, because we talk, like when we talk about a topic like this, a lot of times it would come down to the ideas like, what are they thinking, right? Like, what is a person like this thinking? And what you're saying is like, that basically is that if it's sexual deviancy, how would they put into words their description? Because that's not what they're going to say. They're not going to use those words to describe
course,
it.
because if you're doing something that's objectively shameful and disgusting, you of course have to rationalize it.
Is the writer of the book still alive?
No.
Alistair Gray? No?
No, it looks like he died in 2019.
Okay. He might have signed off on the movie getting made then.
He might have, because they made it like in 2020 in Eastern Europe or something.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right,
go to Super Chats. Mr. Anderpson said, Dylan is a mirror for you ladies. Stay mad.
A mirror? God, I hope not.
The Manic Mustache said, better to be a one-hit wonder than Tears for Fears.
Really? I like Tears for... What's wrong with Tears for Fears?
Is Dylan Mulvaney a one-hit wonder? I think it's a zero-hit not one.
I don't
By the
think
way,
there's
I
a
forgot to
hit.
mention, just as an aside, that the video on YouTube at like 11 a.m. this morning had 1.9 upvotes and 4.9 K downvotes. So it was, and all the comments were negative. Like, I don't think YouTube is the space
whole
where
thing
Dylan
is-
is going to get. Dylan's going to get a lot of play on TikTok. I don't think
Yeah.
Dylan's going to get the play.
I think the
on
whole thing is coming
YouTube.
undone. I think the whole narrative's coming undone.
Almost all of Dylan's Instagram comments are negative as well. Like, if they're not a verified user on Instagram, it's usually a negative comment. So that's encouraging.
It's sad for Mr. Mulvaney.
Well, don't do what you do.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, you think... Okay, I'm not going to read that. Gross. Daniel G said 68% of chat is in favor of trusting the state to curate their media and parent their children. Fooled yet again.
I would say that would be a mistake.
Where's the poll at now?
We'll bring it up here. 68%.
Yeah.
Yep, still 68%.
The Manic Mustache said, anyone can tell you who's saying Mambo number 5, but no one can name a Rare Earth song.
A who?
I don't even know what that is.
I couldn't tell you who the hell it was that sang Mambo number
Me
5
neither.
either.
I don't even.
I can sing it to you, but I'm not going to.
I did hear it the other day when I was playing glow in the dark mall mini golf.
Wait, where?
New Hampshire.
Okay,
Love that
we were
for you.
looking for mini golf. Like we were disappointed by the.
I love mini golf.
Okay, I was like, we were looking for mini golf places and disappointed by the selection out here. And
Aren't there some? I saw some on
there
a
was
map.
there's like one in Hagerstown or something, and then it's like one's closer to DC. I'm like, I hate DC.
I also hate DC.
I'm not going to
not
DC,
like.
and I'm especially not going to DC for mini golf. So
I just don't
Just
like
for
Washington.
mini
DC.
that is hell to
Yeah,
me.
I don't like
I will
it.
never do that. But I also found out that Shaggy, the singer Shaggy, apparently that accent is fake.
Yeah, he based it on his
His
military
instructor.
guy, his
yeah,
drill
instructor in the
drill-
military.
yeah.
Kind of broke my heart.
and he said that the song got so big that he just had to stick with it.
That's so funny. That's really funny. It's just like he's like faking it one day and he's like, damn it, I have to keep doing it now.
No, I have to do it forever.
Shane H. Wilder said, I'm totally against Plan B for obvious reasons. What annoys me most is that most of her fans are teens and tweens. WTF. Also, you can't get cough syrup without an ID, but Plan B is no big deal. FFS. For F's sake.
Like, okay, so is this where the debate comes in? Not to dredge this to the side, but like, is this one of those things where is birth control okay, but Plan B isn't? Or is
According to whom?
I'm just saying, like, is like a
I think that for me the issue is why are you giving this out?
yeah.
Why are you giving this out like it's some sort of lollipop or candy?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't be okay with it if Olivia
I'm
Rodrigo
not
were
saying-
giving out
I'm not
birth
talking about-
control
no.
either.
No, I'm saying the whole product, not her giving it out. I'm
Well,
saying
what, according to whom?
do you support,
According to
like,
me?
I know you don't like birth control because of what it does to women's hormones and stuff, right? But
It's
like,
more so the moral issue than
Okay.
what
Like,
it does to women's hormones.
Is there a
honestly.
strong movement of women that would be okay with birth control but not Plan B, like within the
Protestant Christians,
Okay,
probably,
pro-
Yeah,
life
probably
movement?
Protestants, yeah.
Okay,
They'd be okay with that.
interesting.
which
All
I
right,
think is hypocritical. But
let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the
Yeah.
fact. All right, mommy influencer.
guys, we are making this video to let the world know that mom influencers, they need to be stopped.
Isn't
This
it
is a force to be reckoned
momfluencer?
with. Seriously, what?
I prefer the term momfluencer.
Momfluencer is different, by the way,
Is
than
it different?
influencers who happen to be moms. Like, momfluencer is specifically
is about momness.
like momness. Like,
Right.
I make mommy content, and like I have a mommy blog and a
if
mommy
she's
vlog.
got her
and-
daughter on this thing, isn't that momfluencing?
It depends. It's hard to tell with this specific case. Guys, this comes from an anonymous Reddit post on r/true off my chest. And this is from, allegedly, a 16-year-old girl whose 45-year-old mother is a Facebook influencer. Here's what it says. My mom has become a Facebook influencer. I used to not care when she took photos, but it's gotten crazy. Everything she does is now posted or live streamed online. Even if somewhere says don't photograph or film, she'd find a way to film it. It was annoying at first, but now it's downright frustrating, especially since 3 months ago when she really got into it. I also completely understand the irony of me posting this on Reddit, but I need someone to hear me out. I don't think it's ironic to post this on Reddit just because it's a social media platform. But anyway, she said, one thing that made me want to write this post was because I've started to envy her followers. She gives them so much more attention than me. She goes off on my dad about how much closer I am with him than her, but I ask to watch a movie with her and she declines. Her reasoning is always that she has a live stream later she's hosting or a video to film or her followers are live.
She's like, look, I can't post that. I'll get copyright struck. I can't post it. I'm sorry. She's like, well, I didn't want you to post it. I just wanted to watch a movie with you. She's like, what the hell's that?
She's literally the meme of the mom on Sims whose baby is on fire in the corner.
yes.
And she's like, hold on, sweetie. Mommy is shit posting. She's turned me down so many times I stopped even trying to hang out with her, since if I do get her around, she's on her phone. One time I asked for her opinion and she snapped that she was tired from her job and that she needed time to post. She live streams so much that I sometimes have to skip meals because she can't have the background noise, and she live streams in the middle of the kitchen. She live streams for hours, and if she had any issue with the internet, she makes everyone power down their devices so that she can get a better connection. Ugh.
I hope this is fake.
I really do too, but I think
bet
that
it's
even
real.
if it's fake, it's based on something that I think a lot of kids are increasingly going through, actually. So whether or not this story is fake, it's definitely a real story in general terms. She also said, another time we went on vacation, every second of it was filmed. When we got to a hotel, we weren't allowed in until she recorded the room, even if we just drove for 8 hours and wanted to sleep. She'd take her time in areas she could photograph. And when me, my dad, and brother tried to enjoy a non-aesthetic place, I felt rushed, like she wanted to go. If we got food, she didn't let us eat or move the food until photos and videos were taken, even having us pose with the food or announce what it is. That one annoyed me. One time we traveled by car for over 10 hours since we ate. When we got a chance to eat dinner, she took my food before I got a chance and was recording it, saying things like, "Ooh, how delicious." And I was so tired and hungry, I gave up and started crying. There's more.
That's so sad.
There's more if you want to get into that. They said that they went on a boat and the mom was live streaming. She was calling out her followers, thanking them and saying how much she loved them all. The boat was going to Alcatraz. And I thought it was so disrespectful, especially because it's a public area that not everyone wants to be filmed. And the history of the island makes me feel that it needs to be respected and not treated as a background to a video.
The dad here is like a problem. Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy. The
dad is a beta.
The dad not stepping in and being like, look, it's time to put on your big girl pants and actually be a mom.
I guess it depends on how much money they're making off of her influencer.
Yeah,
thing.
I guess. I mean,
maybe the
Facebook
influencer career is
influencers-
paying for all of this.
Yeah.
All of this stuff.
I Am What I Am said the mother cares more about others than her own children. Sounds like the backstory for a nighttime corner worker, sad world we live in.
It is sad.
Yeah, well, they mentioned the dad in this post, and I think it's worse that the mom is including her kids in all of the content. Like, if it were just stuff that involved herself, I guess that would be a tiny bit
Not if the kid's missing
better.
dinner.
But the child who doesn't have a choice has to be part of this money-making scheme. She said, I feel like I'm going crazy. When she posts about me, I feel exposed, like I have no control. My dad...
That's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a
not good.
huge problem.
You shouldn't be posting
Like-
about your kids without their
Yeah.
Like
you
nobody
should probably
should
just not be pushing your kids online.
Yeah.
And the irony here is that if this influencer, is a mom and her followers are also moms, they probably have this toxic, like parasocial relationship where they assume that this mom is like the golden, perfect mom who does everything
That happens
perfectly.
a lot. I have a friend who's like always obsessed with the Instagram people.
Yeah.
And she's like, this person on Instagram has this going on in their life. And I'm like, you don't know that any of that's true. This is entirely performative.
Right.
And this
you know?
is the
It's
dark
almost
side.
just
Like,
designed to make you feel bad.
I've pointed out to you several times that there's more than a couple of like Instagram accounts that I follow that are very normie, family stuff, and I'm never under the delusion that like you would hope that at the very least this is not their entire life and that it's very different from that. And these channels tend to be pretty open. Like people will do they'll do AMAs and ask why is one child featured on this channel more than the other? Say, well, it's because this child says they don't want to be featured and I respect that choice from them, and things like that, right? But the idea here is like it's very easy for these things to go bad very, very quickly. When money and fame and adulation get involved. And it is a very dark side of the internet that it's not going away, and it's never going to be regulated. Not in the way even that child actors were regulated. So
No, because it's in their own home. It's in
Yep.
their own house.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when I realized I had been posting pictures of my kid. You post pictures of your baby, right? You're like, oh, it's my cute baby. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. I forget what age my son was, but it was pretty young. And I was like, I'm not posting anything anymore for him. I put all the photos on private, I was like, this is done now.
I think a lot of people are realizing that, posting pictures of your children is more dangerous than you think. And just because your mind doesn't see it as something that could be inappropriate, you don't know who's going to see that and what
Right.
context they're going to see it in because they're a creep.
Think about like if you really think about it, the way that you look at family photos, right? Back in the day, you would not show a family photo album to somebody that wasn't intrinsically connected to your life.
Right. There would even be on sitcoms, there would be like threats. You know, your new girlfriend will come over. I'm going to show her the photo album. No, Mom, don't.
Exactly. Now the kids' photos are shown without their permission, and that's really funny too. It's like, I'm going to show them the embarrassing ones.
The embarrassing one.
And now it's just
Dylan
everybody
on the
makes it a
potty.
public deal to just put their photos out there for everyone to see.
This mom sounds like that Disney executive who ruined his life by becoming
Yep.
an influencer and
Died
then
with his phone in his
died with
hands.
his phone in his hand. Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. What's that story? I
We
don't
made a
even know
whole
that one.
video about it. It weirdly did not get a lot of coverage, but
my
he was
goodness.
a really high up executive at Disney. He left the company to pursue his own self-help empire on social media with his wife,
Who got more famous than him?
who got more famous than him.
And
It
then got
broke
pissed.
them up. It tore them apart. They got divorced. And then he just went into a whole like self-destructive cycle of like drugs and drinking. And yeah, he like died of an overdose in his bed with his phone in his hands, implying that he was in the middle of scrolling
was, like,
through
looking
his
through
comments
Oh, dear.
when he died.
That's
and it's just
awful.
incredibly dark, but yeah, like that's the reality.
That's just awful.
And this is someone, like most ironically, who built a whole brand around helping you become a more well-rounded and
I
well-adjusted
hate
person.
self-help. It's like, nah, you can't help.
It's extremely deceptive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like a group where I can start where it's like, my job is to not help you?
That's a good
Or
one.
just do the opposite?
We'll
How bored must all of these housewives on Facebook be that they're spending hours watching each other hanging out in their kitchens?
that is weird.
Get something better to do. Get a hobby.
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
people are
Play
gonna
pickleball.
No, people are going to mention Nara Smith.
Nara Smith, would she count? I mean, that's more Gen Z watching it.
Okay. But she's still a mom, and she's known for being a mom, right?
Yeah, I mean, that inspires a lot of debate because she makes these cooking videos. They're extremely meticulous and lobotomized.
I still love the one.
And
of the
people are
lady who
wondering,
makes
you
the
know,
satire one. Where
How
they
real
make-
is it?
The girl makes cinnamon toast crunch from scratch.
No, Nara Smith literally did that, but like not as a joke, like
Cinnamon Toast Crunch from scratch?
or like Cocoa Puffs from scratch.
I watched some woman make Oreos from scratch.
like it's
on Instagram.
It's interesting.
And I was just like, really?
It's interesting.
I was glad it was only like, a minute long.
There's the other.
But none of
fake
us are
one.
gonna do this for no reason, like for fun.
No,
you
I'm
know?
never going to make Oreos from
No.
scratch
The other
at home.
fake one, I don't remember the channel's name, but it shows her. It's something involving strawberries, and she just takes full strawberries out of the dirt, and people are like, like she's
Your store-bought
they're
strawberries
they're
that she
clearly
stuck in the
store-bought
dirt.
strawberries that she just put in the dirt. And she
Nice.
shows her picking them out of the dirt.
With her clean manicured nails. Yeah. But that's the kind of content that makes fun of the content that's contrived and staged but doesn't admit it to you.
Brett's gonna make a self-hurt channel.
Self-hurt.
That's gonna get you banned, my friend.
Yeah, that's
Self-hurt
definitely gonna get you
channel's gonna
banned off
get you
YouTube.
banned.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
There's
Yep.
no market for that. But yeah, I think that even if this anonymous post is totally fabricated, there are other kids out there who are going through this exact experience.
And I giggled at a few of the parts there, mostly at the absurdity of it all. But as for the child, that's a truly heartbreaking thing to experience, where it's not even like the very 90s and 2000s problem of your parents are working a lot and just not there because they're providing for you at their job. Now, the parents there, they're just inaccessible.
They just won't talk to you.
They just won't talk to you.
Yeah, I think that her mom needs a serious reality check. She needs to be humbled and she needs to take a social media detox. And her dad needs to stand up for her.
Oh, absolutely. I put this
take
on
some
the dad.
authority. Yeah.
The best way the daughter could would be to make like a anti-mommy influencer channel where she records her mom doing the shots B-roll and exposes the process, and then gets a bigger platform than her.
If she made TikToks showing her mom setting up her
kind
live
of like
streams and stuff.
like the magicians who get in trouble for revealing the secrets of being a magician. It should be like, you think it's all fun and games and beautiful, and the mom's like adjusting the shot and getting really, really mad, and like she'll be like, her mom will be filming something, she'll be like, watch this, and she turns a stereo on really loud just to hear her mom be like, turn that off. Like, that's what they should do.
I want to
Get
see
back at
that.
her.
Get revenge. Okay, let's finish up these super chats. Charlene Ferguson said, "My mom tossed my Marilyn Manson tea at the fireplace."
Nice. I know what that
Classic.
feels like. Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Poor Things is just porn made for PDF files. 10 years ago, it would have been treated like a Serbian film and banned for being degenerate filth."
I wouldn't say 10 years ago.
Wait, what is a Serbian film?
Just lower, like low. I don't know how to explain this. Like, so the content just wouldn't be approved by the MPAA here.
Is that just slang?
No, that's just saying like overseas markets would be more lenient in its production.
Okay. Corey Anderson. Not going to read that. Shane H. Wilder said, "Corey super chats and we have to reset the Mary. I'm not reading that counter. Why am I not surprised?" It's happening. Taxi Flatty said, "I was born in DC and I hate it so much." Down with Big Avocado.
I have a particular. I don't even know why. I hate driving through DC mostly, more than anything. I just hate driving.
I get lost every time.
Yes, the last 2 times have not been that bad, but I'd go to Reagan several times.
It's not even that I get lost. It's like the way the roads are constructed, you always are in the wrong lane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like take this interchange, but by the time the GPS tells you that, you're already past it.
Right, you're already
Okay.
past it, or you've like gone way too far around the traffic circle. I can't tell you how many times I've gone like around the traffic circle three goddamn times.
I've driven through Los Angeles. I've driven plenty of places, high traffic. It's never bothered me. I despise driving through DC.
I also
The
despise
roundabouts are what really
They're
get
awful.
me.
They're just the worst. They're just the worst.
I mean, even
civil
the-
engineering invention.
The intersections, obviously, they don't have overhead traffic lights. They just have the ones that are on like poles.
Also
on
don't like.
the sidewalk that's like 3 miles away from you. You can
can't
barely
even
even
see
see it. Like, what do I do? I don't even know where turning left would take me. I have no idea what that means.
I'll be driving around with my son, and I'll be like, "You need to focus on the map. It will take us an hour out of our way if we make one wrong turn."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rumbling said, "Is this a Cat Williams effect for Emma Stone? She had to generally do a soft prawn so she could get an award. Basically, sell your soul to
yeah.
get praises."
Would she
That is
really
what
care
happens.
about an award that much?
Well, she's
Like,
already gotten Best Actress before for her role in La La Land.
So why would she care?
She seems sort of medium.
I mean, what's most kind of dark about it is that in her thank you speech for the Oscar for Poor Things, she says that her daughter is turning 3 in 3 days and it's totally changed my life and I love you so much. And it's like, can you not see?
I just did a
the
movie where I was
irony
like, I had the
here?
brain of my daughter.
Yeah.
And doesn't see the problem with that.
Like, gross. Prince Elian said, "Gen Xer here. I find it deranged how generations of people have been politically conned into believing and supporting that killing kids is cool and all right."
So for me, I grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota, and you would have to drive either through Wisconsin or upstate. And you would, once you got upstate and you got out of the cities, you would start to see the pro-life like billboards and the pro-life signs in yards. And it was literally a cultural divide that was sectored off by rural versus urban, right? So as soon as you got out of the cities, you saw that. But by the time I was a certain age, it's like that seemed foreign to me. Like it seemed like Bible thumping nonsense that I never gave much thought to, but I didn't really think about the issue much at all, beyond the fact that I just knew that I didn't see signs like this in the cities. So
Interesting.
Well, I mean, did you ever discuss it with your parents?
Nope.
It just didn't come up?
Nope.
Did they have any opinion?
I have no clue, and I like it that way. I don't know or care what my parents' political... that's not true. I know, I generally know what my dad's and my mom's politics were, but it's not something I would have ever let come between us. The idea of discussing, like, abortion with my parents is maybe, like, I would rather be waterboarded than have a discussion about that with my family.
That's just so bizarre to me because I grew up where we just talked about everything all the time, and you just ask any questions about literally anything and you got the answer, and not just figure it out for yourself, kid, but like, this is the truth, kid.
I mean, like, when most of my experiences were so like with my dad, it was sports. My dad coached teams that I played on, and I was very involved in sports and athletics, which, you know, I appreciate. Like, that's a big thing for us. That's what connected us. With my mom, it was more, I mean, I did talk to my mom more but that was more about interpersonal stuff and what was going on in my life. And those discussions, as somebody who was, you know, given whatever age, didn't think about those things, because all I thought about was between the ages of 0 and 12 was sports in like baseball and hockey, up till about 12 or till about 13 or 14. And then from then on, from about 12 to literally this age now, has been skating. And that was what informed my life. And I just didn't talk about those other things with them because it didn't interest me. Not to the point where I felt like it was something we had to have a discussion about. Me and my dad will discuss politics from time to time, like if we are having dinner, like whenever I'm in town. But it's not something that I think a whole lot about. In fact, I still remember over the summer, like we went out to dinner and my brother wanted to talk about politics. I don't know if it's because I work here, so I just don't want to. I just don't care. Like, I don't want to. And I'm just like,
when you
please shut up.
I'm curious, like when you saw those billboards and you said you like perceived it as Bible thumping nonsense. I mean, if you never talked about this with your parents, you never talked about this with really anyone, and you never thought about it, then why did you have already a negative connotation?
Maybe nonsense isn't the right word. What I should say is it seemed as something that was very religious in its nature, whereas I now know that there is very much a pro-life movement that isn't necessarily attached directly to religion. It just felt foreign to me. But I was also younger at those times when I was driving, whenever those things would happen. So I would maybe think about it for about 6.5 seconds, and then I would go, I've got a hockey game
about
in 3
the length
hours.
of a vine.
Yeah, like and then about 6 seconds later, I go, I've got a hockey game in less than an hour. I'm thinking about that.
Okay. The Manic Mustache said,
I'm a plebeian. Okay, I'm a dunce. It's
hey,
fine.
I was just asking questions. I'm just curious. The Manic Mustache said Shaggy is the Pee Wee Herman of music.
And that's okay.
That's
Corey
funny.
Anderson said, I don't even remember what I super chat sometimes.
Oh, okay. So that's fair. Like, there are people who are like, remember when you said this on this show? I'm like, no, no, I do not. I really do. Like, outside of the big stories, like, there are whole segments that I will never remember. Most segments, I will never remember a single thing that I've said on here. I think it's just a part of doing it 5 days a week.
Yeah, I think it's that, because I used to remember everything.
Yeah.
I used to remember every story I had written, every article I had written.
Yeah.
And now I'll be like, wait, I wrote about
It's all a
that?
blur.
Yeah.
Potatoes for Seamus said, hi, Libby. Hi, Mary. ... Hi, Brett.
Hello.
Well, that's rude.
Pat the Plumber said, Libby, why would you go to Massachusetts? It's a liberal-ish hole. I know, because I'm trying to escape.
Why would I go there? I have a great deal of family in New England.
Shane H. Wilder said, a Serbian film was a movie banned in the U.S. for being violent, hypersexual filth, and rightfully so. Someone told me about it, and it sounded horrid. Wait, so it's literally titled a Serbian film? Like, that's the title of the movie?
There's just a lot of movies that get made in other countries that are just going to have very different, their social values and mores are going to be very different than that of the West.
Is that the title
Sounds like it's not what
of
I've
the
heard
movie? And is it actually Serbian?
We should.
Like, I just don't understand.
We should review it.
Terrence Rice said, born and raised in D.C. in the hood, southeast. I don't regret growing up there, but I wouldn't raise my kids there. I do miss some extended family, though.
That's sad.
Prince Elian said, Gen Xer here again. There is no pro-choice or pro-life. It's either pro-abortion or anti-abortion. Folks don't like that. I don't care. Go outside.
I'm using the vernacular that's common amongst the public.
Yeah.
So.
But I guess I agree with your idea.
That's the beauty of doing this show. I don't have to, like, it's like, I see some people talk about, like, like I said, I went through some of these comments and it's like, you need to take more serious stances on all these things, or like, why don't you talk about this? No,
Or
just
me?
about the comments in general, saying like, covering what we're covering. I'm like, bro, there are 10,000 shows talking about all of the most serious topics in the world, and not everything needs to be that. I would argue that having an outlet for other things that are less serious is actually just as important if you want to live a fulfilled existence, meaning that you can't live a 110% serious life all the time, or you will burn out very, very quickly, or even without knowing it, you will become a burden of annoyance to other people.
That's true. That's
because people will be like, it's then everything's the last copter out of Saigon, and it's the end of the world all the time, and that's grating.
It is grating.
There's one more there from Shane H. Oh, there's two more there.
Oh, really? Okay. Potatoes for Seamus said, how's the hot dog stand, Brett?
What kosher...
The kosher hot dog stand.
Ann's Franks.
Ann's Franks.
Oh my goodness.
Ann's Franks, they're selling like hotcakes these days.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Shane H. Wilder said, it is the title and it is Serbian. They tried to say it was high art also. Blech.
That's what they're going to say for
Sounds
all
about
of us.
blech.
Yeah. All right. Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. We are going to see that movie tonight, and we will be going with...
That movie.
That
unnamed.
Movie. Literally, yes.
That movie that we shall not name.
The movie with the title that shall never be named, with Valiant Renegade, who will be on the show tomorrow. We're going to be talking a lot of things. I saw some interesting stuff about Disney finance today. He will be able to give us a lot of insights into the money aspect of Hollywood, which is going to be really, really fantastic. So stay tuned for that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Libby, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Brett.
Let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me at Libby Emmons on X, and you can find me and all the great work we're doing at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com. Thanks.
Perfect. Mary.
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
All right.
We got one more. Prince Elian. Gen Xer, one last time. This last one wasn't towards you, Brett. Let's end on a good note. Farts. PCC is the best. Let's go.
Thank you. All right, guys. If you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dastovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Again, Valiant Renegade on tomorrow. It's going to be fantastic. If you want to listen to the audio version of this podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify, if you prefer to listen rather than watch. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok because we were banned, at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.